Welcome to the Gaming Outsider on Fire Edition with your host, Scott Clark.
Welcome to the Gaming Outsider podcast. On this week's episode, Zack, Jacob, CB, and I talk about the Microsoft Developer Conference and the future of Xbox. We got a lot of new games to talk about as well, including Blade Chimera and Dreadout Collection Remastered. Also, Sean stops by to talk about Star Wars Episode 1 Jedi Power Battle Remastered. Mark played a super interesting PC game called The Stone of Madness, and Thomas tells us about a point-and-click adventure game called Ramas' Call, Twisted Timing. This is the Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to the Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com, facebook.com/the/groups/the GoCast, or on our Discord server. There's a link for that in the show notes if you would like to join it. It is Tuesday, January 28th, and today I'm your host, and joining me are my friends. First off, Mr. Zack Parkerson, what's up?
Hey, greetings from the Concordance Extraction Corporation.
I don't know what that means.
It's the corporation that owns the USG Ishimura.
Oh, okay. I should have known that. I feel terrible that I don't know
Gosh. All right.
that.
Letdown.
Also joining us, Mr. Jacob Gunderson. What's up, man?
Hi, how you doing today?
Doing all right. And Chris Behrensmeyer. How you been?
Oh, not too bad. Did you have a Ron Burgundy moment there?
I did. I was trying really hard not to read off of my notes. I was trying to look at the camera as I greeted our people that are here live on YouTube watching us.
I am Scott Clark.
I am Scott Clark. It's a little bit still getting used to this, but thanks everybody for joining and watching live. If you are watching live, Paul Hine is here. I'm not sure. I can't see who else here unless they comment. So make sure you say hello in the comments. But let's go ahead and kick things off and talk about some of the games that we've been catching up on. CB, you've been gone the longest. Why don't you tell us what you've been playing?
I started playing a game called Exit 8.
Oh, I've heard about this little short horror game, right?
Yeah. Dude, it's intense. It took me a bit to like wrap my head around it first playing through it, but once you get going, dude, it's addicting.
I watched the trailer and it gave me PT vibes, like, the repeated hallway situation, because that's all they show in the trailer. Is that the game?
Yeah. It's
so
the entire literal game takes place in like one small hallway, but it's on a loop.
Mm-hmm.
And as you go through it, like you have to find anomalies, and every time you find an anomaly, you have to turn around and go the opposite direction.
Okay, so like an anomaly is anything, like in the trailer, like some dude that's like camouflaged against the background just like appears and runs at you.
Things as small as even like a sign being upside down,
okay,
or a doorknob being on the wrong side of the door.
Oh.
So the very first time you go down the hallway, you basically like need to memorize like everything in the hallway, because every time there's a shift or a change is when you're gonna flip around, and like sometimes like there's like one guy that walks through the hallway,
I saw that.
Like right now, like I'm getting a little bit of like skin crawl vibe, just because like sometimes like he'll like walk by you, and instead of looking like straight ahead, he'll like turn and start smiling at you, and like all of a sudden, like if you keep walking the same direction, like you'll hear footsteps getting closer behind you.
This sounds creepy.
Oh, dude, it's creepy. It's good. Like there's one time you come around a corner and there's just two men standing in the hallway staring at you, and you're like, nope, I'm gonna go the opposite direction.
So is hard to figure out as like PT? Because I got through it, but that was frustrating.
If you go for 100%, there are times it gets annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Or like you'll be going down the hallway and you're like, I didn't notice a single thing. And if you go down the hallway and you don't turn around when there's an anomaly, it resets you back to square one.
I was going to ask, what's the punishment for missing this stuff?
So yeah, like if you miss something, you just go back to one, and then you got to go through it again. And so like you learn quickly, like, okay, pay attention. But I mean, as long as you're moving forward and you don't back up or turn around, the hall doesn't reset. So you just take your time and go slow, but every now and then, like some of the anomalies will chase you.
Right. How long is it?
I mean, I've seen people do runs as fast as like 4 minutes.
Oh my! I mean, come on.
But
They run to the
mean-
hallway to do a backflip. They jump through the wall. They do a little glitch thing up to
Oh, no,
another
like,
level, and
literally,
then they
like,
exit.
I've watched people speed run this, and they're like, as soon as they enter the hall, they're like, okay, I already noticed an anomaly, and they just boop, and it goes really fast. I think my fastest was like 12 minutes.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
But it's fun because like one of the achievements is you have to find all the anomalies.
Mm-hmm.
And so like you're scouring through this hallway, which is not a large hallway.
I mean, can you just click everywhere and like just get it?
No, because there's only one anomaly per iteration.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 8 iterations in a
No, I know. I mean, just like if you don't recognize what the anomaly is, just click everywhere until something activates.
Well, you don't even click it everywhere. Like you just literally look like you can't fight back. Literally, you can move forwards, backwards, and turn around and like look up and down.
I'm intrigued. Is there a good story payoff? Or is it just creepy?
There's not. It's literally just like credits.
Just get spooked out for a couple hours.
Yeah,
right.
it's literally just like, oh, you want a good little creep out session? Here you go.
The medium is vast in the art it can represent, Scott.
I agree. I'm just trying to wrap my head around it.
I mean,
it's a big
like
head.
the game was like cheap. It was only like it was less than $5.
I almost flipped you off then. I remember we were live.
And I also don't think you have a big head. It was just
It's
an
the hair.
opportunity.
So
Scott's got a big head.
Scott doesn't. Everyone always says Scott has a big head. I've never seen it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. What about you, Zach? What do you
I'm serious. I just anyways,
Moving on.
I've been doing chip damage to some games this week. Played some more Red Dead Redemption 2, of course, getting through that. And playing Yakuza Kiwami, which is a remake of the first Yakuza. Kind of a holdover from last year. Hoping to beat it since I got to beat 2 of these things this year. According to my
your New Year's resolutions,
right? Yeah. But
Lame.
It's so funny to think about the fact that there's a pirate game coming out in a few weeks that has to do in this universe. And like right now, I'm like, oh, this girl's daughter might be an important political figure. Like that's the threat level in the first game.
Right?
It really goes to Fast and Furious levels of outrageous. It seems like.
Yeah.
But I'm having a blast. The story is very good. This kind of Kazuma dealing with the betrayal of his kind of best friend brother figure. It's just I don't know. It's very compelling, and it's really weird having not played it for a few weeks. Kind of feeling like, I've been to these streets in Japan.
Oh yeah.
It's just kind of a weird experience.
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah. And also, hello to Elite Chief 52.
Hey, what's up, Elite Chief? Jacob, what you been catching up on, man?
I've been catching up on Sulfur and Dynasty Warriors Origins.
All right.
So, over the last few weeks, Sulfur had an update, which if you remember what that is, it's like a roguelite shooter.
Mm-hmm.
And they added a workbench that allows you to change your gun, the modifications on your gun. They don't have an oil change yet, so you're still stuck with that kind of like permanency on your gun, but at least you can take scopes and silencers and different things off your gun like that. And so you can get my inventory filled up so fast with different types of guns, just so I had a sniper here and a scoped assault rifle there and whatever. And now I've cut back in that game a little bit because I can make one gun fit all purposes now.
Nice.
So.
And you said on
That's
Dynasty
nice.
Warriors Origins, you're playing at the highest level of difficulty, correct?
It's not that hard, but
No?
well,
No, when you're Jake.
no, well, no. I don't remember what it had said for the difficulty. I just know that it said that it was harder, and so I played on that one because that's just what I do. But I did have a little rough patch in the beginning, and I've seemed to have been running into more rough patches as my character is starting to get to the max level. And I find that as I'm getting to the max level, there are less things for me to obtain in the game. And so now the enemies are progressing further than I am, and it's getting harder for me to beat them. I just spent one of the main bad guys in the game. I just spent probably 3 hours last night fighting and beating my head against a wall to beat him. And that was the first time in the game since the beginning that I really had to do that, to really push myself to get past a person. But it's weird to have actual boss fights in a Dynasty Warriors game. Usually it's like, oh, now it's the big conflict with the largest group in the area and you beat them and that's kind of it. No, this is straight up boss fights. This is one-on-one fights, and then that person is overpowered and you're kind of whittling down their health until you beat them. And it's frustrating sometimes, but it's fun. I found out I hit a point in the game where it fleshed out into, I think, 5 directions, and I went one way and I got so curious. I cannot wait to stop this one and go back and play a different way, because there's one way that you can go that is completely different than the way you're supposed to go. And I want to try that way because I just want to mess the game up.
Well, that's gamer mentality, right? If you're supposed to go that way, you go that way.
Yeah.
Right,
this run, I kind of went with the everyone's your friend, everyone's this, everyone's that. I wanted to see what the world had in store as it got deeper into the story. And man, it just, the shoot-offs are huge. It's, the difference between serving, a friend to serving almost an enemy. And being a vassal to someone who cares for you, and being someone who just wants to rule the world with an iron fist. And it's crazy. And still your character shows absolutely no emotion as you're making his decisions. So yeah. It's a little frustrating watching your character just zone out the entire time, because he looks at people and he squints his eyes a little bit. And almost one time I could almost swear that he smiled when he was talking to a girl. And I thought that was weird, but then he never smiled again. So
he's got Link levels of emotion.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he does. Yep.
Yeah. So you're enjoying it still?
Oh yeah. Well, it's a Dynasty Warriors game.
Yeah.
I was gonna enjoy it no matter what, but I'm actually really intrigued with the story because I want to go be the bad guy.
Gotcha. As for me, got to go back to Baldur's Gate 3 again this week, and guys, I am nearing the end of this playthrough.
Final. I mean,
I'm getting there. I finished.
Notice though, Jake, he said of this playthrough.
Right?
So
yeah.
You're not free yet.
I don't see myself not playing this again. I'm very excited about the possibility of going through a different character and all that. But CB, I know you finished the game, so you know what I'm talking about. I finished Astarion's story. You don't know what I'm talking about? You didn't? Oh, it's right. You didn't have Astarion.
Yeah, never took him.
I forgot about that. So yeah, there's a whole pretty epic boss fight that we did that culminated in his story being tied up. That was cool. And then the last big hurdle before going to the final boss of the game was Gortash. If you guys remember, that's the guy that I teamed up with, and then he blew up the underwater prison and all this. I say me. It's Paul, CB, and Paul, Kevin, and myself. It was a good time. It was a good time, and taking down Gortash was a lot of fun. That was a fun boss fight. The only downside is that we're not gaining levels anymore because we're at max level, so we're gaining all this experience, but nothing's really increasing. So the only thing we can do to better ourselves is find gear, and I do find some gear. Karlak is a beast right now. Your armor class is 23. Really enjoying that, and next week, I don't know if we're gonna finish it, but we could finish it. All of the side quests that we have left are like ones that don't have a waypoint. They're quests that are like, oh, find this person. Like you just like stumble across them somewhere, and I have no idea where to look.
Are you actually in Baldur's Gate now?
Oh yeah, I have been for a while.
Okay.
And then like the gate is like the final boss or whatever. Before we defeated Gortash, is it the Emperor? I think it was the guy that talks to you in your sleep. The Illithid guy,
the Cthulhu face dude.
Yeah. He was like, "Don't go there yet. You're not ready." It was almost like a point of no return kind of thing. Yeah. So now that Gortash is gone, we can do that.
Something tells me it's going to be longer than you think.
Yeah.
Probably. Paul mentioned in the comments, he said, find the pieces of the clown. There's a quest where this is weeks and maybe months ago, where we fought this clown, Dribbles the Clown, and that's his name, Dribbles the Clown. And it wasn't Dribbles the Clown; it was an imposter. And then the quest was to find all of the body parts of Dribbles the Clown, like
Did you find
throughout
them?
the game. We found several of them, but not all of them. Like we have a head, we have a foot, we got a torso, we've got a leg.
You're playing Hangman.
Yeah, pretty much. And not really sure where that's going to wrap up, but I'm looking forward to just kind of seeing this through and then experiencing it all over again, hopefully with some other people, because, man, it's going to be so cool to say I did this entire game co-op as well. That's what I should do. I should go play by myself for a bit and see, like...
It'll
It'll
go faster.
Yeah.
You can get a little naughtier with it.
Yeah, it's just that nobody's watching.
Yeah, you should get off everybody's clothes and walk around Baldur's Gate.
Oh, I've looked at a couple characters. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, of course, yeah. If the game gives you the option, it'd be silly not to.
Yeah, pretty much. And the other thing is this isn't necessarily a brand new game, although it was just re-released. I dipped my toes just slightly into Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. I forgot how awesome these games are. Like, I never finished 2. Did you guys ever finish Ninja Gaiden 2
No.
on 360?
Nah.
I remember getting. What about you, Jake? Did you play these games?
You guys had a 360?
Oh, that's right. You were a PlayStation guy. I got very far to these games, and I got to somewhere near the end. The people that have played the game will know what I'm talking about. But there's like a massive staircase you're climbing, like either out of or into hell. And I gave up around there because I just got overwhelmed. It becomes very, very difficult. So far, it's not as difficult as I remember, but it is weird playing this style of game where I'm used to dashing in games with a button press, like with a face button press. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This one is, your left bumper is your block button, but if you're holding that and you move in a direction with the directional stick, that becomes your dash or your dodge. So it's like wrapping your head around, an older gameplay style, but it sure looks pretty.
I missed the click down on the thumbstick to dash.
I don't think I've ever done that.
There's been a few games that I've played.
What?
Like, yeah, there's been a few games where you if you click down on the
thumbstick. like a first person shooter, like you run forward with that. Yeah.
I was gonna say that's most games nowadays. That's the sprint button.
I think we're talking about different dashes here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like not
like a
sprint.
dodge.
Yeah, like a dodge.
Okay.
And then there's a dip button, a duck button.
I guess that would be a sprint button.
There's the dive
button, and then there's a second dodge button as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure why, but it is important that you have 2 options for dodging.
Yeah, right.
Dip, dodge, dive, dodge.
Anyway, I've been listening to some
sterile.
people talk
I like the taste.
I've been talking to some people that are hardcore Ninja Gaiden 2 fans, and they're vastly disappointed with what this offers because they said that with the black moniker on it is supposed to show that it is the definitive version of the game, and some people are saying it's not that. Like they've made some changes that they don't like, and I'm not the person to ask what those are. Like there's fewer enemies on the screen, the save points aren't in the right spot.
I'm sure that there were people back in the day. It was just a quieter internet who were like, "This Ninja Gaiden Black sucks."
Yeah,
it's just how it goes, man.
Yeah, I'm eager to get back into it though. It's those games. I think I was having this discussion with you, Zach. I beat the first Ninja Gaiden, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm afraid to get into Souls games because they're hard. But Ninja Gaiden is kind of a Souls game a little bit. You know what I mean?
I think it's harder than a Souls game personally, but it's just a different skill set.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. They're both pretty punishing when you mess up too. So I don't know, man. I think you just give a few hours of Elden Ring. I think you would find your way in.
I actually really think you would really enjoy Elden Ring, man.
Treat Elden Ring like a dark Legend of Zelda.
Okay.
But without puzzles.
Yeah.
I don't understand the connection to Zelda personally, but
you get out there, you get a horse, you're kind of running around, you do dungeons, you open up chests, da 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 da.
Oh yeah, I forgot they forgot every chest goes da 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 in Elden Ring. Forgot all about it.
Yeah, no.
So
oh yeah, I forgot the Zora show up. That was a pretty cool part of Elden Ring.
I mean, there's pots, right? Don't the pots like?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, the pots get revenge in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
All right, so that's what we've been catching up on. I'm probably gonna do some more Ninja Gaiden. I'm debating just going back because I have the Master Collection. I have it on Game Pass, and I started the first one, and I just kind of got distracted. I would kind of like to go through and replay that one first, just because it's been a minute. I know it's not. I mean, it's remastered, but it's not. It doesn't look as good as Ninja Gaiden 2.
I don't know, dude. With the backwards combat, it just might.
It might, yeah.
I mean, that first game looked exceptional on the Xbox.
It did, and how cool was that game when it came out? And just it was so tough, and remember like how that first boss was like one of the toughest things in the game, like because you didn't know how to play it, and it was like, just running up and hitting that guy. You had to like run up the wall and downward slice him or whatever, and they didn't tell you that.
That's not the horseback guy, is it?
No, he was tough
later.
though too.
Yeah, he was tough. That guy I remember.
Anya was the toughest boss. She was like a woman that turned into like a spider or something.
Okay.
That was the tough. But once you passed that boss, the rest of the game was kind of a breeze. Actually,
right?
You got that flying swallow attack. Do you remember where you could like dash forward with your swords and do the?
Oh yeah, vaguely.
Yeah,
it's been 20 years.
Yeah,
going down memory lane.
Oh man, and then I'll just skip 3 and.
Doesn't everybody?
I don't know. Maybe I need to give that one another shot because I did not like it at the time. But
let's
see.
You'll have something to look forward to.
Yeah,
when you beat it.
Well, let's go ahead now and jump into the week's news. Got a few stories to talk about this week. Run through them really quick, and then we'll discuss them individually. Ted Price is retiring. That's the first one. Xbox had its latest developer direct this past week. Lots of things to talk about there. The Video Game History Foundation is opening its digital library. EA isn't having a good time right now. And lastly, the developer of Celeste just canceled their next game. Jacob, let's start with you. What story do you want to talk about?
EA isn't having a good time.
You always take the negative stories.
Starting with the downer.
I'm a negative guy. I'm sorry. But so EA lost $6 billion in the market value. What is that? FC25? What is that? Is that the football game that underperformed the Christmas expectations? Dragon Age, the Vanguard, engaged 1.5 million players, which is not a lot in today's standards opening. The director of Vanguard has departed from the company. So, that's probably for the best that he departed. Because I wonder if that was a mutual agreement or if they were just like, leave.
I'm willing to, like, the timing just seems like, okay, I've completed my contract. Thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah, I think she claimed there was something lined up that she couldn't refuse, but the timing doesn't look good for her.
I don't know. I feel like EA has been like on the cusp of starting to do bad. We're starting to see all of the big named companies, come out and say that they're actually not doing as good as they used to be doing. And I think EA is getting some backlash with all the paywalls they used to put up between items in games. It always seemed that they had, something really cool behind $20 if you wanted it in a game. And so people either, spent all the money or didn't spend the money. But I know that any time that a full price game has a paywall of something or some kind of DLC, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Like, you've already got your money out of me. Why do I need to pay more?
While that is true, they're also the only publisher who's making AAA games that are single player with no microtransactions. Right? Like Dead Space, the Jedi games, even Dragon Age: The Veilguard. These are all single player games that don't have a lot of monetization routes, and they're still taking chances on them. Mm-hmm. And that does count for something.
And I feel like they're not as hated as they were. Like, for a while they were like the most hated company in the industry.
Twice. Yeah. Worst company in America.
Yeah. But between that and Ubisoft seems like they're in trouble. I feel like a lot of that's going to hinge on the success of the new Assassin's Creed game, Assassin's Creed Shadows, which I heard some interesting things about this week. People got some hands-on impression with that I've been hearing on some other shows. We were not one of them, unfortunately, but hey, fingers crossed for the future.
Way to go. Way to put that in there. Just twist the knife a little bit.
Hey, in case they're listening, we would love to preview it.
I've heard it on other shows, but definitely not ours. Totally not ours. Not ours at all.
I don't know. They're gonna get one. They're gonna have one PR person read my Odyssey review and decide never to talk to us again.
That's where aggressively average came from. If I remember,
That's right. That game is aggressively average.
That game is amazing. Shut up.
Not according to the GamingOutsider.com. Dude, but
the one person in the Gaming Outsider.
Dragon Age: The Veilguard engaging 1.5 million players, dude, that's rough.
Yeah,
because that to me, like, I feel like it probably didn't even sell 1 million copies then.
Well, this is the one that originally had a different name, correct?
Yeah, so yeah, she's Dread Wolf, yeah.
So I think this is one where it was changed hands too many times, too many visions were scrapped and changed and moved around.
I mean, it started as a multiplayer live service game.
Yeah, which
like that's
oh my.
I'm so glad that like format is dying.
Yes.
There's one thing that could save. There's one thing that could save EA or at least help them a great deal, and that would be another Mass Effect, right?
That could save BioWare.
Yeah.
I think EA is doing just fine.
Do you like
$6 billion in market value?
I'm willing to bet the company's worth more than $6 billion.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's certainly a substantial hit, but I feel like they'll bounce back. However, go ahead. No, I was saying I just don't think Mass Effect's going to do it.
No.
But who's left at BioWare there's nobody left at BioWare that had anything to do with making Mass Effect.
That's a good point.
No,
my fear is they make a new Mass Effect and it comes out like the Veilguard.
Like, oh man, yeah.
Well,
it's very
underperform Christmas expectations. First off, maybe stop putting your expectations to these unbelievable heights. You're like, well, the last one did this number, so the next one has to do double that.
Right.
Like, that's what irritates me is you have so many companies that they're like, well, we gotta double our sales from the last game. And I'm like, first off, it's a sports game. Are you above breaking even on it? Cool, good job. Like that's the problem is you are spit polishing usually your last year's iteration and then just slapping a new number on it. So stop like expecting the sun, the moon, and the stars for essentially a rehashed like package.
Yeah,
because all they usually do is just update the rosters.
Yep, rosters, graphics, vendors, billboards, all that kind of stuff, advertising.
You want to know
new game.
But the easiest way to lower your production cost on these, release Football Club, and then every year make it a $20 roster update.
Well, that they would lose so much money doing that.
Yeah.
No, they wouldn't.
That's great for the customer, but there's just no. But why would you do that when you're getting most people are happy to pay $70 every year?
At the same time, though,
that's very true.
Just doing a roster update, they don't even have to do anything. Literally, just like, okay.
I hear what you're saying because they're spending less, but it just feels like that's so much money they'd be giving up.
Yes and no, because you wouldn't need an entire development team.
Yeah.
One dude in his basement just updating the roster.
Yeah, it's literally just one guy just update.
Maybe they should do both. It's like you can pay $70 for the new one or $50. You just want to update your roster on your old version.
See right there, like there's no reason to sit here and make a completely new game.
Because at some point they figured out that they need to have a different mode. They can't just have like the season mode or whatever. They have to have special modes in them. So
they build the new your specialty player and like building him up from like some young kid.
Now I got the solution.
I go ahead because I think I have the solution as well.
I'm willing to bet mine is vastly different from yours, but my solution is bring back NFL Blitz.
Oh,
okay. Here's my solution. If they want FC 25 to make money, you license Naruto and Dragon Ball Z, and you could just make a team of Dragon Ball Z people playing soccer against a team of Naruto people, and all those weebs are going to pay you $100 a team probably, Boom.
Yeah.
Isn't that just Blood
Ooh,
Bowl?
whoa.
Done.
Remember Jump Force?
Oh, I remember. Yeah.
That did not sell great.
Look, man, if there's two things I know about the Hispanic friends in my life is that they love football and they love combat anime.
You might
I
be
mean,
onto something.
I'm
You're
just
not
saying,
wrong.
mix them up.
I mean, there's been like soccer games where you get to. I mean, even like the Mario soccer game, Mario Strikers. Didn't that have it like you attack each other and stuff like that? I mean, even like back to like the NES days, World Cup soccer. Like you could just like massively
also,
attack each other.
If you're gonna bring back Blitz, you better bring back NHL Hits.
Yep.
Just all of those. That's the problem is you have companies like EA and other ones that are sitting on these quote unquote defunct franchises. I'm like, just release a legacy game because
NBA
there's enough
Street.
people that would be excited about it.
You know, honestly, even just bring back like the old one that was on 360. Like, I don't even care about the roster updates. Just give me the game. I can't
Yeah.
play that. It is so much fun. I'm not a Madden guy, but I will play some Blitz. Just I would pay $20. I would pay $40 for their Blitz. just to be
I'm
able to
sure
have it on my
CB's got
current
like
console.
7 copies of it somewhere. I have a copy of on N64.
I mean,
like, come on.
I have all the N64 versions.
I
Yeah,
should
see, there you
just get
go.
I should just get one of those arcade cabinets from 1UP and just be done with it.
Just have a retro night.
All right, let's move on. CB, what story do you think is worth talking about?
We're going to talk about the one that I sent you.
All right.
The developer of Celeste canceling their game.
More negativity.
Yep. Okay, this one actually makes me sad because I think Celeste was a beautiful game to look at.
I mean, it's a
And-
beautiful game all around. Music,
Yeah.
graphics, the story it's really good.
It was fine, no doubt.
So it makes me sad when you see companies like this because like there's a game that I'm looking forward to and I'm constantly worried that it's going to get shut down. The little chocolatier, the same guy that made Stardew Valley.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you see this, so they were making a game called Earthblade, and they posted they're shutting it down because the game was getting like too exhausting and there was too many like creative differences. Sometimes things just fold in,
Mm-hmm.
and it's sad to see it happen. Especially like when you have such a great like outing like Celeste.
Yeah, I
And
don't
you're
think they would have expected the game to be as much of a hit as it was.
Dude, it's still people still love that game.
I love that game so much. I've played through it multiple times, and I don't replay games often.
Yeah, and like now Pedro is like leaving the studio. So it's sad to see something that could have been so much more.
Well, they're not going away. They're still going to be working on what they call smaller scale projects. So there's going to be other things coming from them. But
I mean,
You know-
would you consider Celeste like a giant project?
would you like define
Well-
giant project?
Well, like when I think of like 8-bit and 16-bit games, like I don't think they're like massive. Granted, I'm not a developer, I am not a coder. I could not tell you one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
But like when I think of something gigantic, I think of like a big 3D world.
Well,
Like-
we don't really know what Earthblade was.
Yeah,
Either.
we don't know.
Yeah, it was.
But like I'm like Campo Santo, like you make Firewatch and then you never get a follow-up.
Mm-hmm.
And now like Extremely OK Games gets like their one big game and no follow currently. So I hate seeing like the smaller guys like fold in like this.
Well,
Totally.
Campo Santo made Half-Life Alex. Or they got bought by Valve, and then that team
They got
Half-Life
bought by
Alyx.
Valve
Yeah,
because there was another game that they were making.
Valley of the Gods, right? Yeah,
Yep,
God,
which
that
has never
God.
seen the light of day.
I got canceled, but looked great.
Yeah. So it's an unfortunate thing.
Yes, it is. It's one of those that like, will it ever like get uncovered and brought back to life? Because I mean, there had to have been a lot of stuff done, right?
Yeah, and see, this is like where one of those like years down the road, if like somebody finds it, is it going to be a giant lawsuit because you have people that were all invested in it?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping whatever form it is currently in gets preserved somewhere.
I agree.
So
Well, moving on, Zach. What story you want to talk about, man?
Sure, let's lift things up here with the Video Game History Foundation is opening its digital library. This is pretty exciting because they've been working on collecting materials since 2017. This is a non-profit organization. They have a really great podcast where they talk to archivists and game directors and such. But the digital library will have access to over 1,500 out-of-print magazine issues, loads of never before seen behind-the-scenes game development materials, as well as old marketing materials and press kits. And their founder, Frank Cifaldi, said, "Thanks to your support, we built a powerful tool for video game history research. We can't wait for you to get your first look at what we've been up to." This is very exciting. I've been following this process for years for this company and getting all this rare stuff and access to this materials, or like developers would drop stuff off, they're cleaning out their house and they just have like a box of old floppy disks, and then like it's just a treasure trove of information that is exciting. But it's so cool that we the people will finally have access to this. It's great for history. Video game history is not a priority of the people who own all the stuff we care about, so it's nice that somebody's out there trying to do something.
Yeah, I love this as well. I love that they use the word research as well. It's fun to think that the future is going to be having people going back and looking things like this up in order to make better games. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be a research opportunity. That's just, I love that our hobby is old enough to be able to do that and to learn from the past. And now it's going to be much more accessible for people. And I love it. It could be even there's college courses in game development, right? So this is going to be like a go-to place for people to do when they're writing papers or learning about game development. It's awesome.
I'm super excited for like the back end stuff on this, like the old marketing material, and like theoretically, like I was reading somewhere that like they may have access to like some of the old game engines for like game development, which is really cool because depending on like if you were a researcher and you went to them like, hey, like this game used this game engine, is there any way that like we could do some research on this game engine and figure out like how to reverse engineer it to potentially make a fan-made sequel to certain games?
That's interesting. And then you run into IP issues, don't you?
If you can make it in the likeness of, don't call it a spiritual successor. Instead of Half-Life 3, we have Full Life 4.
The Legend of Zelda and Lonk.
Oh my God. All right, well, it's my turn to pick a story, and I'm shocked that you guys left this one for me because I'm going to talk about the Xbox Developer Direct, which I did not watch live. I had to watch it after the fact, but I got to tell you guys, it was going on. I was at school, and I get a text message from Zach. This is Scott. It's happening. And I had no idea what he was talking about. I didn't even realize. I didn't remember what time this thing started. And, lo and behold, Ninja Gaiden 4 was unveiled. And listeners of this show might remember from past prediction episodes at our Game of the Year, I predicted a new Ninja Gaiden like 3 years in a row and then stopped predicting it every year. And now it's happening, which was awesome.
All you had to do was stop paying attention.
So I got to ask you guys that did watch it, or Zach, I know you watched it live.
That's right, dude. I was full half-assing it at work watching this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when that, the Team Ninja animation logo thing booted up, did you know exactly what was going on?
Yeah, I texted you it's happening before I even knew what it was.
Oh, really?
As soon as I saw the Team Ninja logo, I knew it was Ninja Gaiden 4.
Dude, I would have
that or Dead or Alive, but
yeah.
I
would have assumed that even before the logo was shown. There's something about that like torrential storm in an ocean scene that is burned into my memory that as soon as I would have seen that, I was like, oh my God, Ninja Gaiden's happening.
Yeah.
Sure enough, it did. What did you think of the trailer of the new game?
Oh, dude, I don't care about this at all.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, the Platinum Games logo got me excited for a quick second, and then I remembered that they miss just as often as they hit. And I mean, the game looks good, I should say. It's just I didn't really care about the Ninja Gaiden past that first one, so this doesn't really do a lot for me. It's nice that Platinum's getting work. I feel like this kind of is a nail in the coffin that they're probably not the people making Nier 3
Oh.
if they're busy doing this, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can't be that big. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm excited for the Ninja Gaiden fans like yourself. I'm very excited for you, Scott.
Well, I appreciate it, but I'm going to tell you that I got a little nervous when I saw the Platinum logo because I see that logo and I think complicated button presses to do things like Bayonetta. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
And that's one thing I like about the Ninja Gaiden series is it's difficult, but the controls are somewhat simple. You know what I mean? Like even playing Ninja Gaiden 2 today, you have an attack, you have a light attack, you have a heavy attack, you have a jump, and a block, and then you can press two buttons together to use your ninpo, which equates to like your magic. But that's it. You know what I mean? There's no X X Y X B A. You know what I mean? Like and that's what I assume a Platinum game is going to do to it.
Well, I think they're pretty adaptable because you take like Nier Automata, for example, that felt more like a Yoko Taro game than it did a Platinum game.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this could very much be a case where it feels more like a Team Ninja or Ninja Gaiden game than it does a traditional Platinum game.
I hope you're right. Interesting that it doesn't appear you're playing as Ryu for a good portion of this game.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but I will bet money that you will at some point.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But at least they didn't pull a Metal Gear Solid 2 and tell us ahead of time.
Well,
right?
Watching the trailer, like some of the gameplay does seem like it could be some fairly complex button pushing.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, as does Ninja Gaiden if you watch somebody expertly play it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are areas where it does look kind of complex, but then there's also areas where it's like this seems unbelievably simple. So I'm not quite sure which way to go on it. But
those people playing it in the demo though are really good at it too.
Yeah. But
you can't button
really
mash your way through these games. I'm going to tell you that right now. This is not Dynasty Warriors. No offense, Jake.
No offense, Jake.
As you just see Jake just like,
what? All of the shots fired. I appreciate that.
Just
Ninja Gaiden 4. It's okay. I'm more excited
gorgeous.
for something a little further down.
Okay. Well, I already talked about Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. I love that this was just shadow dropped. Like 2 hours after this, you could download it.
Pretty cool.
And available on Game Pass. That was very cool. And
Xbox is they're keeping the shadow drop alive.
I know, right? Can we get more of that, please? So we won't talk too much more about that. But next up, South of Midnight. Oh, by the way, Ninja Gaiden 4 is getting a release date. Well, they didn't give it a date. They just said fall of 2025. So I know it's only January, but that's not a massive wait. I like that. It's no Fallout 4, like, hey, it's coming out in 3 months, but I'll take it. There's plenty to play this year. Okay, moving on. South of Midnight got a release date of April 8th, and we saw a little bit more of this, actually a lot more of this game. Finally saw some gameplay. Saw some more of what's the main character's name?
Oh, I do not know.
Really like that character, even though it doesn't sound like it because I can't remember her name. But
well, she's a new character. Yeah, I can't know her name yet.
Is this one Trip Your Trigger, CB, or
the Expedition 33?
No, South of Midnight.
Oh no.
Oh, okay, Jake.
Further down.
Okay, Zach, you and I are just going to talk about South of Midnight.
Yeah, South of Midnight I think looks awesome. I think this looks incredible. I think you and I were talking, Scott. The animation style I'm not sold on off the bat, but I'm just going to trust that it'll wash over me when I play it.
I'm not either, and I heard that you'll be able to turn that off and just play it smooth. And even though I'm not sold on it either, I still am going to play it that way.
Right. That feels like the artistic intent.
Yeah, yeah.
But dude, the setting of this, haunted bayou setting where like this hurricane seems to have brought magic to the bayou.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, dude, it looks awesome. I can't wait. This looks incredible. It's got some wall running in there. I'm always a big fan of that. It kind of looks like a kind of a simpler video game, which is nice too. Just everything about this I think is very exciting.
I just love that you have these big, giant, mythical monsters that are just talking like humans. You know what I mean? Like they're
right.
I mean, granted, they've got that bayou accent. What do you call that?
Cajun.
Thank you. this Cajun accent, but I'm so used to big creatures like that just having like a deep, dark voice, and no, they're just talking like regular dudes.
Right.
I just love that.
Just hanging out.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I kind of like that the game. You know, it's about healing things rather than just like eradicating these monsters. You're trying to help them.
Mhm.
I think that's nice. You know, a little bit of a different set of verbs. You know, is always nice for a video game.
Mhm.
Yeah, dude. I mean, yeah, I'm stoked at that. I think it looks great.
I'm stoked
Is
as
it-
well.
Is it just me or to the south of midnight? Like the character models look like refreshed 3D versions of Telltale characters.
I could kind of see that, but I feel like the Telltale characters are cell shaded.
But what I'm saying is that's why I said 3D versions of them.
Mhm. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. I think it had a little bit more life than that, but
It does, but it's like when I see her, like the one girl's face, like immediately I'm like, this looks like a really cleaned up Clementine.
Interesting. Yeah, I can't say I can meet you there on that, but yeah, dude. April 8th, by the way, much sooner than I thought.
yeah. And again, Game Pass. All of these games, Game Pass on day
Yeah.
one. The next one is Claire Obscure Expedition 33. Got a release date of April 24th, so we're gonna have to get through South of Midnight pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I if I wasn't sold on this game already, I am like so in on this. This looks
Dude, a
great.
world map.
Yeah,
Oh, it's beautiful. It's just you love to see it.
This game does look really good.
man, I just love that they're doing the Paper Mario thing with the the reactions. They said you can dodge literally every attack, which you can in the Paper Mario games. I just love that. They talked about, the developers are talking about like refining it because some people found it too difficult, and so they kind of tweaked it a little bit and gave you some options for how to do it. But the thing that stood out to me the most is each of these characters just looks insanely interesting. Like they all on their own, and they each have their own story, which reminds me of
Octopath.
Octopath Traveler, where like you had like an individual story for each, and that one didn't land for everybody, but this
This
seems
to me
more
looks like a
fleshed out.
3D Octopath Traveler.
Well, but these guys are like actually together,
Mhm.
Yeah,
unlike Octopath.
Right.
I mean,
but-
you had occasional team ups.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see any Octopath whatsoever personally, but that's okay.
Well, I mean, in terms of, I was using that as an example more for each character has its own story that you're going to touch on at some point, not necessarily going to run off on your own.
Right, but isn't that every video game?
I-
I mean, doesn't every RPG, all your party members of Mass Effect have a story?
I haven't played Mass Effect, so I can't speak to that. But
Scott, does all your players in Baldur's Gate 3 have stories?
I was just going to say Baldur's Gate 3 as well.
Yeah.
Yes. No, but I mean, like, it feels like there's this big overarching thing going on in the story, right?
Right.
Which the setup is amazing.
Yes.
But it sounds like you're going to be going off in the distance and doing some things for each individual characters, which I miss from JRPGs. I mean, that was part of why we played a lot of those old. Remember Final Fantasy VI? You had vignettes where like you were just one character, or maybe that character. They had the different combinations of characters doing stuff. I love that. And it looks gorgeous.
Yes, I mean, the UI looks incredible, and not in an overbearing way like Metaphor was. So it's just, I don't know, it looks flashy, it looks fresh. The setting is cool, characters look great. The only thing I did not like the perk system thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think kind of looks lame, especially that menu where there's just like 100 words on the screen.
Yeah,
picking your loadout. I was like, I don't know, just kind of seemed a little over designed.
Don't make it complicated. Like I want
Right.
some complexity, but not over complicated.
I will say I'm not a fan of the title though.
I don't.
What a bizarre name for a game.
I actually didn't even realize that Claire Obscure. In my mind, it was just Expedition 33. Like I don't remember the beginning of it. I probably would have liked it better if it were just Expedition 33. But what does Claire Obscure mean?
I think it might just be, well, I agree that Expedition 33 sounds better. And if you listen to their video, they only ever really say Expedition 33.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wonder if, like, did they get some marketing feedback that's like, everyone's just going to be saying, where's Expedition 1 through 32? I don't know what to do.
That's
people
fair.
people are that dumb. Like that Unknown 9 game that came out last year, and I feel like all the comments and trailers were like, "What? Where were the other games? I missed them." So I think you kind of got to lead people there a little bit. So
that's the
Clear
problem, is, like,
Obscure
you have
helps them.
Clear Obscure, which
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, is this part of a different series?
Yeah,
Oh.
well, but I think it still lets you know that you could play this better than if it was just called Expedition 33. I don't know, dude. I'm not a marketing genius. I'm just
I'm not
saying
either,
the
but-
market is kind of dumb.
I understand
Yeah.
what you're saying.
But if I was staring at a list of all the games that came out and I saw this, I would just glance over because I would see Clear Obscure, Expedition 33. And I'm like, okay, so I'm 32 games behind.
Well, luckily, yeah. So you're saying so you're saying they shouldn't have had Expedition 33 and then name it all then?
Yeah.
They should have just called it Claire Obscure.
Yeah. Or Clear Obscure Expedition.
Yo, Kill That Painter would have been a cool name.
Yo, kill that painter.
That painter.
There's one more game they unveiled. They closed down the direct with Doom: The Dark Ages. We had.
Are we gonna finally hear Jake talk?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was just listening to the great conversation you guys were having.
So
Excellent.
Doom: The Dark Ages. This was not. We knew this was happening. We did see some gameplay before, but we got a much deeper dive this time. Jake, what were your initial thoughts on Doom: The Dark Ages? Which, by the way, releases May 15th.
So you gotta get through Clear Obscure pretty quick too.
Yes.
Yeah. It feels like they've slowed down the Doom gameplay,
Intentionally.
and yes, but then I'm not entirely sure. I played the last one a lot, and then I don't know. I didn't get the mechanics of that one. My kid then explained to me that I was just dumb. And this one feels
which I'm
it's-
sure he does often.
He does often. He very much so does. But this one feels like they just went with a slightly different direction of it and slowed it down a little bit and made it maybe a little bit more user friendly. But I mean, this game looks great. It looks like so much fun. It's I mean, come on! It's Doom with a shield that's a chainsaw and throwing, and there's still what appears to be the glory kills in it and all that kind of stuff. So you're still running around mobs and destroying them and blowing them up and stuff. But they're just trying to make it more user friendly. They even have a bit in there where it shows difficulty, and you can just make the gameplay ridiculously easy on yourself, just so you just want to run around and blow stuff up.
I like it.
I do agree that what we've seen so far does seem slowed down. I think though that we're looking at the first parts of the game, because
Yeah,
I'm willing
definitely.
because like the last Doom game, like it took a little bit for it to really start accelerating.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling by like halfway through this game, it's just going to be full on banana sandwich.
Oh, I
Well,
hope so.
You can get into these giant mechs, right? Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's gonna
But
be nuts.
I love that in
character
the
design.
trailer, the developers were saying that, the first Doom, not the first, but the first in this trilogy was run and gun. The second one was, vertical,
Jump and shoot.
jump and shoot. And they said in that game, if you were a fighter jet, in Doom: The Dark Ages, you were a tank.
Oh yeah.
Right. Stand and fight is how they
Yep.
described it.
Right. Which I thought would get CB super
I'm-
stoked.
I am.
Because every game that we play, any kind of multiplayer game, I'm the dude picking off guys from a distance, and CB is the one just running in full gun and just meleeing the crap out of everybody.
I'm a straight up barbarian.
Thunderwave.
I mean, come on. I made a battle bard in D&D. Like that's what I do. I go in, I smash face.
It looks awesome. Boy, that, spring is just loaded right now with just these 3 games. We got the rest of the everything coming out. But
Like Xbox is like Microsoft is finally doing something.
Zach, what'd you think of this one?
I felt kind of no excitement for it, which was disappointing.
Hmm.
I like the kind of medieval aesthetic. I know I was in a very small minority of people who thought Doom Eternal was a pretty big letdown. I think I gave it a 6 for the site. That's coming off of loving Doom 2016.
Right.
I do appreciate this looks a little more reined in than Eternal. I feel like Eternal kind of got in its own way a lot. This seems a little bit more focused. However, I don't know. The new stuff didn't. The parry shield thing sounds cool, and a chainsaw shield is pretty sweet. Not gonna lie. But like I don't care about like the riding on the dragon thing didn't excite me. The giant mech thing did not look fun at all.
Oh man, I couldn't disagree more. I'm so
I
stoked for this.
understand. So while I don't feel excited, I'm sure I will check it out because why wouldn't you? It's on Game Pass.
Right.
And I hope in a few months, I hope I come back at you guys in June and be like, I was so stupid. This game rules.
I hope so as well.
Yeah,
I get where you're coming from, Zach, because I will say, Doom 2016, utterly amazing.
Yeah, brilliant game.
Doom Eternal, I feel the story gets in its way.
Yeah.
I don't need a story for a dude who just smash face.
Well, I got bad news for you.
I was gonna say they said in this one it's more story focused than
I know.
Yeah.
But,
so that actually really did, because I'm a story guy, but I'm with you, CB. I don't need it in Doom.
Yeah,
it was perfect in the first game. Every time somebody was trying to give a story the first game, Doom guy would just smash the computer. It was friggin' sweet.
But I mean, like, essentially a gaming icon that, for the most part, we've all grown up with, like Doom 2, and like all the iterations since then. Like Doom kind of like really spawned an entire section of gaming. And I'm like, it's just a dude who shoots and smash.
Yeah, but with that said, this one looks like a return to that a little bit. I mean, just the fact that you're strafing fireballs.
Yeah, that I liked seeing that. That was nice.
That's fine. But I don't care about the story so much.
I care about it for one reason, and that is that this is a prequel to 2016. And apparently whatever happens at the end of this game leads into
why he's in a sarcophagus in 2016.
Yes. Which will be fun.
He's a vampire. And this is the Dark Ages. Come on.
The problem is, like, if you've read some of the lore about this game, which unfortunately I have because it's been like thrust into my face by my son, you kind of already get a hint at where it's leading.
Okay.
So,
I'm still gonna enjoy it.
I hope I'm
gonna enjoy it rather, I guess.
I get to play Doom guy with sword and board.
Yeah.
Of course. Right. I'm going to enjoy smashing things.
The other thing that they mentioned in here, you guys were talking about the melee focus where everything is just centered on one button, which is interesting. You know, at first it's like, how am I going to have variety with just one button? But when they talked about that, it reminded me of the first time playing Gears of War. Remember how much was just on that A button? You know, running, getting behind cover, you know what I mean? Vaulting. Like everything was just the one button. So, you know, it can be done in that. I could see it, you know, working well in Doom the Dark Ages.
Timing.
An interact button.
Dude, I mean, the idea of the prequel set during the time where everybody was deadly afraid of Doom guy is fun.
Right.
No doubt. I am wary that they're like, we're bringing the story out of the codex and into your screen. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Was anybody finishing Doom Eternal thinking, thank God they gave it more story?
I think that's part of the reason I really didn't play any of the DLC, because I was like, I don't need more story.
Yeah.
My heart goes out to Doom guy. He's so hurt.
Yeah, well, let's really get into his head.
It just says smash over and over again.
I mean, for a guy whose literal words are rip and tear.
You're right. I hope to see him sobbing over his scientist friend who brought him coffee back on the Martian base.
All right. Well, that is the week's news. Let's go ahead and move on, and we will talk about the new games that we have been playing. Kicking things off with Zack, who's got some new games to tell us about that people can purchase in the coming week. What's new on the horizon?
Sure thing. Things start off with Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector. This is a sequel to a rather beloved narrative game from a few years ago that comes out on PS5, Xbox Series consoles, Switch, and PC January 31st. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. It will take over my life starting February 4th on PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC. Rogue Waters is a run-based randomizer with a pirate theme coming out to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and Switch February 4th. Rift of the Necrodancer comes to PC February 5th. Big Helmet Heroes, 3D beat 'em up coming to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, Switch, and PC February 6th. Icy Red makes its way to Switch February 6th. Moons of Darsalon is a 2D platformer coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, and Switch February 6th. And then Luck Be a Landlord, which Scott talked about a few weeks ago on this very show, is a run-based randomizer with slot machines. And that's coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, and Switch February 6th. CB, which game on here is exciting you? Is anything trip your trigger?
I mean, I might dabble in some Kingdom Come. But beyond that, I mean, I got backlog to fill.
Sure. All right.
We all do.
What about you, Jake?
Big Helmet Heroes.
Really?
It has been a while since I've played a Castle Crashers like game.
That's what I thought
got
when I
the
saw this.
feels
trailer.
all over it, and I can't wait to beat up some nonsense.
Definitely has some crashing vibes. What about you from this list?
Well, I've already got Luck Be a Landlord. I'm debating getting that on
Can be a landlord.
platform. Did you read my review?
No, I try not to read your reviews.
Oh my goodness.
They're bad.
Go read the subtitle or the subheadings of my review for Luck Be a Landlord. Anyway, I'm debating, getting that on somewhere where I can get some achievements as opposed to. I don't like playing that on my Steam Deck. I know that sounds weird. It's portable. I don't know. Maybe Switch would be better. It just doesn't feel right for some reason. I don't know why. But Icy Red looks awesome. Like you said, this is coming to Switch. Was this released prior? And I just had never heard of it.
It was on PC. Yeah,
it was on PC. I had never seen this. It looks awesome. I love the black and white with just the enemies are red or the blood is red. I think the art style looks pretty cool on this one.
Yeah, it's got a slick look. As for me, it's Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, obviously.
Shocker.
Wish I would hurry up and ship me my collector's edition already, so I could just stare at my statue of Henry and Pebbles.
Have not been talking about it for the last month and a half.
Dude, I'm excited. All right, looks good. I can't wait to get hungry and go to bed. I live for that stuff. Also, yeah, I don't know. It looks so improved over the first game, man. I'm pumped.
I hope it's everything you want.
The trailer I saw didn't have any gameplay, so I don't even know how this gameplay. I don't remember.
Pretty good story trailer, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
nobody wants story trailers.
It's a first-person RPG game, with considered combat. Whatever, dude. Just play it. All right, just play it. This is supposed to be like twice the length of the first game, so I feel like it's gonna be like 120 hours. So just play it, Scott. What's the big deal?
Other games.
It'll only distract you from every other game this year.
I don't see Skyrim on this list. Where is that?
Yeah, that's true. Keep up with your hot new releases. But this is not playing these gargantuan games leaves you open to checking out these little guys like Blade Chimera that you're checking out over on the Steam Deck. This game, dude, you've been selling me on this thing.
Have I?
I mean, you put out a review at a 9.5 out of 10 on the site.
I hope I'm not overshooting on that because this was just such a surprise. I requested to review this game because the trailer was 2D gear gated game. That's a Scott game for sure, and it just surpassed my expectations and then some. I'm so high on this game. It's shockingly good. It's really, really good.
Well, it's more than just the gear getting that excited. You said the story's really good too.
Well, yes, and that's how I'm trying to sell you on it because, again, I'm trying not to oversell it, but dude, I'm getting some of the same feelings I had when I played Iconoclasts.
Oh, okay.
Where characters are fleshed out. Now, there's not nearly as much exposition in this as there is in Iconoclasts. You know what I mean? It's a little fewer and far between. But
it kind of gave me. This is probably not at all correct, but it gave me a little bit of Katana Zero energy.
I mean, that game that's the one where it's just like one screen and you just clear out the enemies in a certain amount of time, right?
I don't think so. Maybe, I might be misremembering.
And then like you go and you meet up with your shrink at the end and he jams a needle into your arm. Isn't that
That
Katana Zero?
sounds more familiar. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think maybe I'm just connecting it because that game I wouldn't have expected to have a lot of story either, but it had a
Right.
break. Yeah.
Well, and it's deceptive because I even mentioned this in my review that the game starts out like kind of cheesy. Like some of the dialogue just seems cheesy because the story is that you are like a disciple of this group called the Holy Union or something like that. And the guy in charge is looks like a religious figure, and you're this badass character that goes on missions mostly that are comprised of eradicating the world of what they refer to as demons. And you go through and you destroy demons, you come back to base, you turn in your you turn in your mission, you get a currency that you can use to purchase new weapons and gear, things like that. And then you hit a point where like things just start turning. I thought I had this story figured out, like just things seemed very obvious to me, and some of it was what I expected, but it went in extra turns that I was not expecting.
That's
really
exciting.
Good.
That's good stuff.
Yes. Well, I mean, another selling point of this game is the look and feel of this game because it reminds me so much of Symphony of the Night. Like even the animation, the way the character moves, and the map obviously looks like Symphony of the Night. It's very familiar. It even does the thing you remember in Symphony of the Night, like if you're facing one direction and attacking, and then you go to turn around, Alucard would like kind of back up a little bit before he would actually finally turn around.
Yeah.
This game does that as well.
Okay, that is a very interesting thing.
I don't know why it stuck out to me, but it is there.
No, like it just that would immediately make me think of Symphony of the Night.
Okay,
for sure.
So
yeah.
But this is a more deliberate movement game. It's not super quick. It's not a Celeste. It's not a Lost Crown. You know what I mean? Which hyper. I mean, you need reflexes. Don't get me wrong, but it just feels like he walks more like an agile tank, if that makes any sense whatsoever. But I'm really digging it. So one other key thing that stuck out to me is that you have the option to have a ranged weapon and a melee weapon. So you can map two buttons for attacks wherever you want to. I made the one on the left my gun, and then the one on the top my melee weapon. And obviously the melee weapon is going to do more damage. But what's interesting is that the ranged weapon, whatever gun you have, the closer you are to the enemy, the more damage it does. The further away you are, the less damage it does. And you know that because you see the numbers popping off of the character while you're shooting it. That
Symphony of the Night style.
I didn't even remember that was how Symphony of the Night worked. So clearly they liked that game. If you go through the story, and towards the beginning of the game, you come across a demon that is this green female-looking demon by the name of Lux, and Lux becomes imbued into you, like she becomes part of you, and she lives in this hover sword, is what they call the weapon, and that becomes she becomes your gear. So as you go through, she starts learning new abilities. Like you can take the sword and jam it into a wall, and that becomes a platform, or she becomes your double jump, or she becomes your slide ability to slide under narrow passageways. But what makes it really interesting is, she has the shield ability where you can just like plant her in the ground and she creates a shield around you to.
Oh yeah, kind of look like a bubble shield from Halo. Yeah.
But what's fascinating is as soon as you do something like that, like stick her in the ground for a shield or stick her in the wall for a platform or whatever, you now don't have the abilities. So you can't double jump anymore.
Because okay.
Right. So
it reinforces her as a character, right? Like she is important.
Exactly, but it also makes for really interesting traversal sequences where like now I have to stick this thing in a wall to open up a door over here. So I have to make my way back without using my double jump. I have to figure out a new way to get there.
That's pretty clever.
It is clever. And then there are some other sections where there's like a purple gas that she can't go through or whatever. So you have to figure out, stick her in the ground here, go around, and then recall her back so that she's not being recalled through the purple stuff. Am I explaining that well?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's just really clever, and it's just a fun take on this genre's formula. And then to cap it all off, it's got a super satisfying story, like just a kind of epic final boss that culminates in this really sweet moment that is actually bittersweet. It's you got to play this, Zach.
Yeah.
Jake, you look like you had a question.
I was just wondering, you said you lose the abilities when you stick her in the ground. Like, that's your weapon, right? That's your melee.
No, she just kind of floats around you. You can use she basically acts as your magic. So one of your magic
Gotcha.
you can use her as a weapon, which costs magic, but you still have your gun and you still have your whatever your melee weapon
Gotcha.
is.
So you're sticking her spirit in the ground?
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. Like you put the sword in the ground and she stays with that while you go do whatever. It's just really clever. I'm really enamored with this game. What?
How
Just stabbing random things, just throwing her around.
Yeah, just throw that chick around. How long is this?
I looked it up on how long to beat before I started playing it, and it said 7 hours. I feel like it took me longer than that, but also I was trying to clear the map. The map is really fun to explore. It's not super complicated, and there are some bonus things, which, by the way, unlock a true ending. So there's like a true ending if you collect all these puzzle pieces or whatever.
Are you gonna go for it, or did you get it already?
I did not go for it. I just was really curious. Only reason I knew about it is because Jeff Swan over at Nindy Nation told me about it. He said it was spoiled for him, and I was like, well, I have to know what the secret ending is. So I just YouTubed the ending, and it's
oh, that's lame.
It's awesome. It
was satisfying.
It's pretty satifying. I really liked it. So I would say it probably took me about somewhere between 13 and 15 hours. But it's not overwhelming, and it never feels super difficult. Some of the bosses are tricky, but they give you so much health, and they give you, you can buy health replenishments and things like that. And they do something in this game that I feel like some people are going to say it's a cheat, but
it's a cheat.
I love that this game lets you fast travel to any point on the map that you want at any time. So you don't have to travel to a fast travel station. You can travel to any spot on the map that you want. So on occasion, I cheesed it a little bit on occasion because I was trying to get through the game quickly, where I would get through an area, a difficult area, get through at least half of it, and I would spawn back to a save point to replenish my health and then spawn myself back to where I left off. So it was basically like a free health recharge. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
But
the only person you're cheating is yourself.
Well, again, I just was trying to get through it quickly because I wanted to have it finished before we talked about it today.
Yeah. Well, it's a Scott game. It's short and doesn't have challenge.
Wow.
The last thing I will talk about is they also do something really clever. Lux gives you the ability to find items in the environment and revert them to their original state. This gives me very much Singularity vibes, where like this staircase was destroyed and it's now destroyed. And if I use her, she kind of recreates the staircase. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
By the way, Nindy Nation is here.
I saw that. What's up, Jeff? How's it going, man? He's the reason I'm playing this game because he was talking so highly of it. He and I have been texting back and forth for the past 3 days. I think he beat it 2 days ago and I beat it yesterday. We were like kind of giving each other notes and he was giving me tips and told me how awesome the story was and the final boss, and he was right. So thank you, Jeff, and please check out his show, by the way, Nindy Nation. He does a really great job reviewing indies from Nintendo specifically for the Switch.
Well, Nindies,
exactly. So yeah,
did he beat Blade Chimera quicker than you?
I don't know. I guess I'm going to have to ask him to tell us in the chat. I didn't ask him how long it took him. So, Jeff, tell us how long it took you to get through that game. Because, 13, 15, I would say. But again, I think he actually did everything. Like he had like one part of the map he had left to get or something like that. So,
wow.
I didn't explore as meticulously, but I want to say I'm at like 95 or 96% of the map. So,
dude, you got to get that other 4%. Come on.
I know. Yeah, he said 15 hours. So yeah, we're probably about. My timer says like 20 or 21, but I know Like I came, you know how like you put it in sleep mode and you come back and it's like, no, I have not played this game for that long.
Oh, and Steam Deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Steam Deck's. Like, yeah, you've been playing this for 1,300 hours. Like,
Right.
oh, all right, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I guess I got to get in the
Right.
habit of just closing the game after I'm done playing with it. But it's
Oh,
just so convenient having that quick resume.
I wish it was just the same. I wish it lived by Switch rules.
Yeah, exactly.
But it doesn't.
So Blade Chimera, guys, this is a game that I feel like if people play this, more people would be talking about it. I think I've heard one other person talk about this game besides Jeff, and it's so good. It is really, really good. It's accessible. It's fun to look at. The mechanics are really clever, and I was just really satisfied with how everything ran story wise, and it's awesome.
Well, there's a lot of games coming out, but I'll get to Blade Chimera. I'll set a reminder to my phone, Scott, for you.
Yeah.
Because boy,
developer is Team Ladybug. It is also available on the Switch, by the way. So if you would prefer to play on that console, you can. And it's published by Playism and WSS Playground. It was provided to us by Stride PR. And thank you to Stride PR because I had heard I heard Jeff talk about it, and I was like, oh man, maybe I should pursue that one. It sounds really awesome. And then I got a press release email, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to pursue it. So
yeah, sounds like an early shoe-in for your top 10 at the end of the year.
It might be, man. I mean, it's not.
I don't know how many other 9.5s you're going to come across.
That's true. We got a pretty big year ahead of me, so
yeah, that's true.
I don't know. You're making me second guess the 9.5.
I'm not, man. Dude. I'm not trying to judge your 9.5. I was just excited to see it.
Yeah,
I trust the Scott Clark review, man. Jeez.
I hope you get a chance to check it out, and I cannot wait to hear what you think about it because I really feel like you're going to appreciate this story. It's nothing mind-blowing, but it goes to some places that you just don't see coming. Like you think you know where it's going, and it kind of does, but it just does some extra fun things that's really, really cool. So if this came out on Xbox, I would buy it again and play it to go through the achievements.
Gross.
Yeah. Jeff also reminded us that they made Record of Lodoss War Deedlit in Wonder Labyrinth before that. This is in Toho Luna Nights. I played a Lodoss War game, but I don't remember if it was Deedlit. So
yeah, I mean those are both highly regarded games, so
yeah,
good for them.
All right, Blade Chimera. Before we move on to our topic of the week, I want to let you guys know we got a couple more reviews. I had Alyssa was not able to be here tonight, so I pre-recorded her review of her game, as well as with Mark and Thomas stopped by to talk about that. So if you are listening to this on the podcast stream, you're going to hear these. Unfortunately, you're not going to hear it on the live feed, but so you're going to have to tune into the episode later on. But we'll go ahead and play this for you right now. Well, hello there, Alyssa. How are you doing?
Hi, Scott. I'm doing okay today. How about you?
I'm doing great. You are here. Unfortunately, you weren't able to join us on the show today, but wanted to get you on to talk about this game you're playing called Dreadout Remastered Collection. Now, I watched this trailer, and I have to admit, I've never heard of this series. There's 2 games in the series, right?
Actually, there's 3, but you only get 2 with this collection.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. So, it's survival horror, it looks like it. You're playing it on PS5, but it's also available on Switch and PS4. Developed by Digital Happiness, published by SoftSource, and was provided to us by Evolve PR. So thanks to those guys. I read your review, and it seems like you like the tone and everything of this game, but you had some issues with the puzzles being a little obtuse. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes. Especially in Act 1 of the game, which has got 3 acts in the main game. Act 0, Act 1, and Act 2. Act 1 is the hardest part.
Oh, yeah?
But basically in the first game, you're playing as Linda, and it's in Indonesia. And Linda and her friends are with their teacher, and they're going on a field trip. And their car breaks down in the middle of nowhere. So, of course, they decide just to walk around this deserted area, and they come across a school that's, it's abandoned, it's derelict, and everyone gets the bright idea to go inside the school.
Hey, people make great decisions in horror movies, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And then, no, Linda did not go in, and she notices no one's coming out. So, of course, she goes in to save everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when all the great fun stuff happens.
Okay.
So a lot of the obtuse puzzles do take place in the school because you're just going around to different classrooms, searching them. You'll
Like
find
solving math problems on the chalkboard, or
no, you have to find certain objects and then take pictures of certain things because your only tool is your smartphone, which is called an iris phone in the game.
the good old Iris phone.
Yep. And you have to take pictures of certain things, including ghosts. But the game just doesn't tell you what it wants you to do, so you don't know what you're supposed to take a picture of. You don't know what object will trigger the game to progress further. It's kind of just you just have to explore and hope for the best.
So you just kind of shoot things and wait for something to say, "Hey, that's the thing we needed to take a picture of," or
Yeah.
Oh wow, so you're just taking the pictures of everything.
Anything that looks like it could be a trigger, yeah.
Hope you brought your SD card. You're gonna run out of space on that phone really quick.
Oh, that phone has amazing battery life. Never died.
Yeah. So you mentioned it's ghosts. This is survival horror, but it's a ghost story. It's not like
Yes.
zombies or anything like that.
No zombies, no. But there's a very big ghost. I guess it'd be a boar, but it's huge. So, and it's in the school for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll hear it running around, and you're like, oh no, ghost boar, ghost pig.
So
My
is there
biggest
any
feature.
kind of explanation as to what's going on with the ghosts and why they're angry with you or why they're trying to take you out, or is there good resolution, or how does it work?
You find that out through finding newspaper articles and other collectibles in the game. It'll tell you in the options menu, you have your little file, and it tells you the backstory through those things.
Uh-huh.
So if you don't read those, you'll have no clue what's going on and why is and what I can't speak, but like why the things that are happening. There we go.
Gotcha.
So you have to be very diligent about reading the collectibles you pick up, and then when you take pictures of ghosts, it tells their backstories. So
Like
you really
individual ghosts, like they all have their own little story?
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds kind of cool.
It
It
is cool,
looks
yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong. It has like a Japanese feel to it. Am I reading that correctly?
I believe it's Indonesian, but it does have a lot of that J horror aspect to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I wasn't too far off. So you recommend people check this one out?
If you're into survival horror, you don't mind having to kind of just wander around hoping you know the solution to the puzzle or you stumble across it.
Mhm.
It's definitely worth a look. It's about 4 hours long to play the first game. The second
Mhm.
game is a boss rush mode, which really isn't my cup of tea.
The whole
But
game is a boss rush mode?
yeah, the second one is Keepers of the Dark.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So you
Okay.
get one game that's like a narrative game and one that's a boss rush game.
Interesting. I didn't know that was. Again, I've never heard of the series, so that's new to me. But it is $29.99 on PS5, PS4, and Switch, and it is called Dreadout Remastered Collection. All kinds of remastered collections coming out recently.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right, Alyssa, thanks so much for checking that out. We will hopefully see you next week.
I hope so. I miss
All
you
right.
guys.
Yeah, you too. We'll catch you later. Got a couple more reviews for you guys. I am here with Thomas and Sean. How you guys doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, me too.
This is crazy. On this one episode, we're gonna have like 4 different time zones represented. We got California, we got Chicago, Rockford area. Mark's gonna be on later from Michigan, and Thomas all the way from the Netherlands, 7 hours ahead of us. This is awesome. It's just crazy how the internet works and we're able to do this kind of stuff. But Thomas, we're gonna start with you. You are our resident point and click adventure aficionado, as it were.
Quester. Yeah.
So you have played this game called Ramas' Call Twisted Timing. Now, I kind of feel like whenever I watch trailers for point and click adventures, I understand how they play, but I can never really understand what the story is because I feel like you just have to really play the game to know the story. So what's going on in this game?
Well, I haven't completely finished it yet, but I've played enough to be able to give a decent review of it.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, this Spanish language adventure. So the voices are all talking in Spanish, and the subtitles are English. Is about this kid who gets sucked into a different time because a professor is doing an experiment, and that experiment goes wrong, and he ends up somewhere strange, medieval from the looks of it, but also
okay.
not entirely, not entirely medieval the way he knows it should be. So
Mhm.
there are some strange goings on, and he needs to find his way back, and hijinks ensue.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a get back to your home situation story.
That's how everything starts out. Yeah, I'm not going to go into details because I don't want to spoil anything.
hmm
But that's how it turns out. And your main character, he's a delivery guy. He delivers packages, but he's also a massive role player.
So he's
And
Sean.
he is. Oh yeah, could be.
Sean works for Amazon, delivers packages. So.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Except this one, I think he rides a bicycle instead of a car. So, but what they did with this is that there are certain items you can find in the game that kind of changes his character. So if he puts on his fedora, he turns into his role-playing alter ego.
hmm
And if he uses a monocle, then he turns into his professor alter ego, his knowledgeable alter ego. Those are a couple of the things that could happen, and that changes the way you go about in the game. So, for instance, if he's just his normal self and he sees something, then he's, for instance, a tree or a rock, and he's like, okay, this rock is way too heavy for me to do something with it, so I'm gonna leave it here. But if you got the right things in your inventory and you put on the hat, and it's like, oh wait, but now this is actually ideal to spark, to create some sparks so I can start a fire with it. And then he suddenly can lift it because he's this different persona. If he's as his normal person and he looks at certain books, he's like, okay, these books are about this. But if he has the monocle on and he's this knowledgeable person, then he knows a lot more. And then all of a sudden he knows, for, oh wait, but this, I know how to use this.
So the monocle makes you smarter.
Sort of like that. Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like he has several identities inside himself, and they play around with that. Now, on paper, this sounds really cool. In practice, it's not totally living up to its potential. I got very early in the game, got into a situation where I was in a laboratory and I was lying on a slab, just recovering from nausea, and I wanted to get out of there, and the only way I could get out of there is if I looked at everything from every persona that I had at my that was present there. So I had to click on everything like at least 3 times before I got to the point where I could start asking questions to the other person there.
That sounds
I'm like,
tedious.
that was there's stuff like that is like it's not living up, as I said, it's not living up to its potential as it could be. So there are several like, it's also not the way I would like to solve a puzzle, like there's just a lot of clicking going on. Luckily, there are different difficulty settings. So you can, if you're stuck on something, you can change the difficulty setting, get past that point, and then change it back if you want to.
Gotcha.
So if you want to, that can help a lot.
I feel like games don't do that enough, where like you can change the difficulty as you go. You know what I mean? Like you can say, "Oh, I'm good now. I'm going to bump it back up."
Yeah, or at least, if a game senses that you are failing at a certain point, that it makes it a bit easier to get past or something. But that would be more something for arcade games, I guess.
Right.
But that is a very handy thing. The other thing that I came across that I didn't like so much was the clunky controls. It is point and click, but in order to you can click just to walk, that's no problem. But in order to actually do something with your surroundings, you have to hold the left button until a face comes up, and then you have to move the button to his hand, to his eyes, or his mouth in order to use, talk, or look at something. And those faces are also different from the with each persona. And the way the settings are set up is also not so intuitive. I'm like, this could be done better. So those are a bit like the negative things that I came across. I do like the story itself, the way it's going. They put a lot of effort in that. The voice acting is all there. The game looks pretty cool. I think there is a lot of passion with the developers for this kind of game. So what I'm hoping is that they do continue onward and learn from this game and mold their passion and their experience into their next game, and that's going to be for lack of a better word, better than this one.
Okay. Again, that is Ramas's Call: Twisted Timing. You're playing it on PC, and it is from developer One of Us Studios. They also published it, and they're actually the ones that provided us with a copy of the game. It is currently $14.99 US. I don't know what that translates to euros. Do you know that off the top of your head?
I would think about 12 or 13 euros, 12
Okay.
euros, 13 euros, around that.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, thanks for checking it out, man. And as always, it's really great to see you. But I know it is late by you, so we're going to say goodbye to you so you can get to bed and enjoy the rest of the start of your work week, I guess it is.
yeah, exactly. Got a busy week ahead. So thank you guys. Thank you, Scott. Catch you next time.
Sounds good, man. We'll catch you later.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Good to see you.
We've lost Thomas, but we have gained another. So Mr. Mark Szymanski is on the call. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Let's go ahead and Sean is here. I can't remember if you guys have met. Have you guys met each other? Yes, no?
Yes.
I believe so.
We've
Yeah.
recorded together at least once.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't keep it all straight, but if it's okay with you, Mark, I'm going to start with Sean.
Please do.
Nothing against your game, but I cannot wait to hear about Star Wars Episode 1 Power Battles Remastered, because I actually played the original on PlayStation back in the day, and I have a lot of good memories of it. So Sean, he's got it in front of him right now. He's got a man. That's awesome that you got that. So you're on PS5, but it's also available on Xbox, Switch, and PC. It's developed by Aspire, also published by them, and was provided to us by Sandbox Strategies.
Excuse me.
This game is $19.99, which to me seems like the right price, but you got to look in your face that it is not the right price.
$19.99. I thought you meant the year it came out, because it was that time, right? It actually came out in 2000. But yeah, for $20, it's actually a pretty good deal. I mean, but you have to. It has to. The caveat is if you enjoyed the original version, because it wasn't really that well received back in the day.
That's my memory of it too. Actually,
it was an odd. I mean, but if you recall Episode 1, and I'm sure you remember, and Mark, you remember too, the hype around Episode 1. We were all there. There were, Episode 1 had 4 video games attached with it, had the Episode 1 moniker. There was this one, Power Battles. There was the actual game itself,
Pod Racers,
by the way.
Yeah.
There was the Pod Racer, and then there was that Battle for Naboo, that Rogue Squadron's kind of spin-off, if you remember that one.
Yeah, I remember.
It all had the Episode 1 moniker. So
Starfighter, was it?
It was called Battle for Naboo.
Oh, that was just the full title of the game?
Yeah, it was just called Episode 1 Battle for Naboo, and it was like a Rogue Squadron kind of spin-off.
Gotcha.
But
okay.
So anyways, the point is, like, that movie got all these different video games tackling different like aspects of the Phantom Menace.
Right.
This one in particular, if you remember, it's a basically you can describe it as a Star Wars beat 'em up, Jedi
Mhm.
beat 'em up, with some platforming as well. And everyone,
I remember this being one of the first Star Wars games to actually get the blocking laser bolt with your lightsaber thing right. It
but
felt cool in this
yeah,
game.
but you had to time it. You couldn't just hold the button.
Yeah.
You had to time it just right to block it to shoot it back to the person that shot at you.
Yeah.
Otherwise it'll just go off wherever.
Right,
But
right.
everyone probably, whenever you hear this game, everyone remembers, oh, I remember that on PS1. Yeah, the original PlayStation. But people forget that it was also on Dreamcast.
Oh, I did not know it was on Dreamcast.
Yeah, it was one of the few Star Wars games that come out on a Sega platform, which is a whole
Huh.
other conversation.
Yeah.
But this remaster is leapfrogging off the Dreamcast version.
Okay.
You
What
know,
do you
'cause-
mean? Was there more in the Dreamcast version than the PlayStation
well,
version?
and also just a leap in generational graphics too, because Dreamcast was a 6th gen versus
Oh, yeah,
PlayStation
that
1
was a
was
PS2 era.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
PS2 era
gotcha.
console, so it's leapfrogging graphical fidelity.
Interesting. So this is the better version and then remastered on top of that.
Exactly, yeah. Because
Okay.
if you remember, I never understood how they did why this happened on PS1 games, but the warbling effects of textures on like walls and stuff. You remember that?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I never understood how that happened. But so of course the Dreamcast version doesn't have that.
Gotcha. Okay. So I want to you said this is basically a beat 'em up, but and with some platforming. But like I remember this was again like I said they got the lightsaber thing right, but it was
Mhm.
also like an early like licensed game that actually followed the actual story of the movie.
Yeah.
Like to me, GoldenEye was the very first, right? Like they actually went through the levels and you had the remote bombs looked exactly the same and everything.
Mhm.
So it was hard to find a licensed game based on a movie that you actually went through the same steps, and you did. Like the whole opening sequence where you're in the Trade Federation ship, right? And the
Yeah.
guys
Yeah.
roll out and they got the shields and you get the little dash ability to dash away. Like I saw that in the movie. So I don't know if I finished the game though, because I remember it being a little hard. Does that carry on throughout this game?
It's still pretty difficult. I'm
Yeah.
actually struggling on the second level.
Okay.
But actually, what Jedi Power Battles does is because there was the actual Phantom Menace game that
Yeah.
followed the movie a lot better.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Power Battles decided to go a different route and say let's retell Episode 1, but let's take out all the politics. Let's take out the Senate hearing scenes. Let's take out the taxation and trade routes and blockades. And let's just make a slasher, a hack and slash beat 'em up with it.
Oh,
So it kind of loosely follows Episode 1,
oh,
but
shut my mouth. That was completely wrong.
yeah. But so you'll be playing as characters that were in locations that weren't in locations like you're not gonna remember Samuel L. Jackson's character was not on Tatooine helping get the pod race up,
Right. Yeah, but he's there in the game.
But he's there in the game, yeah. And speaking of, because this game came out before Episode 2, this remaster version makes a pretty stark correction. Mace Windu's lightsaber in the original game was a generic blue because they didn't yet establish his purple lightsaber.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but in this remaster they went back and fixed that.
I heard that Samuel L. Jackson like actually specifically requested him to have a
A purple saber, yeah.
his own color of lightsaber, and
Mhm.
they gave it to him. The power of Samuel Jackson, am I right?
Yeah, and this hilt did have bad MFer on the hilt,
Did it really?
That's what I've heard rumors of, yeah.
So you could carry his wallet in one side and then his lightsaber
in the other.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So tell me, this is remastered, and I know you said it's kind of a step above the Dreamcast version, which I already didn't know was a step above the PlayStation version. So what new does it bring to the table?
Well, in the original version, I don't have personal experience with the Dreamcast version, so I'm going off the my memories are going off the PS1 era too.
Okay.
You could choose 5 characters. You had Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, Mace Windu, and those 2 other Jedi characters on the council that were in the scene, but they were never introduced.
Like with a real tall head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mundi. I mean, we know the name now, but we didn't back then until this game came out. So you're playing as a couple of the Jedi Council members, but this remaster also adds like 20 more characters, including characters with blasters. Like you can play as you can play as Padme Amidala and her security captain. You know, they both have ranged weapons rather than lightsabers.
Mm-hmm.
So that definitely changes up the gameplay significantly.
All right.
But I think it is a good game. There was a point I was trying to bring up, but I completely lost it. I'm so sorry.
Well, the last thing I was going to ask you, do they still have co-op? Because I remember that being a thing. Is like playing it with a friend was fun.
Yes, it is. It's still very much a 2000 era couch co-op game. No
Okay, so-
online, none of that stuff. And it got the same kind of remaster treatment that all the other Aspire era Star Wars games of recent memory.
All right, so you recommend people check this one out if they let. Well, let me twofold question: if you've played it and you have good memories of it, should you play it again? And secondly, if you've never played it before but you love Star Wars, should you check it out?
At the $20 price point, I'd say so. I think it's pretty good. You just might have to get past the difficulty, but they did a nice thing. They did modernize it where they offered checkpoints.
Oh, okay.
Because back in the day, if you died, you had to go back to the beginning,
all the way back.
just like it was. That was that was of the time.
Mhm.
Oh, the thing I wanted to bring up, I finally remembered. I have a very strange memory with this game that I haven't thought of in 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recall every time you picked up an item, you always hear Yoda's little chuckle every time you picked up an item? Do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
Well, that sound effect is just kind of a little, that's been
Mhm.
living rent free in my head for 25 years
Yeah.
because of this game. And also another memory I have, it's kind of a bad one. When I was a kid, my school did a lot of late start days where we would come in later than normal.
Yeah.
Well, one of these days, my parents both my parents had to work, and by now I had an extra 2 hours to kill before I had to go to my school bus. I stayed home and played this game. I got so engrossed, I lost track of time and missed my school bus. And my dad had to take off work to come pick me up and then drive me to school. And then when I got home, they took away my PlayStation for a couple weeks.
Oh.
Again, that's a memory that I haven't unlocked in 25 years.
Thanks a lot, George Lucas.
Yeah, I know. So that's the weird association I have with this game.
But hey, hopefully you can enjoy it this time and not have the guilt after you're done playing it.
Yeah, but it's still never gonna go away, despite the fact that I'm almost 40. It's never gonna leave you. I still feel like I still feel like a teenager.
To this day, I still struggle watching the movie Liar Liar because I faked sick so I could stay home and watch this movie I wasn't allowed to watch, and then got busted. And so I still have this.
Oh man!
All right, well, I'm gonna move over to Mark. Mark, I'm glad you got to join in the call, man.
Mm-hmm.
You are playing a game that I watched a trailer for and I have no idea what's going on. It is called The Stone of Madness.
Yep.
You're playing on PC, but I found out today that it's actually available on Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch as well. Comes from Tripwire Interactive and published by the same company and was provided to us by Mark Allen, PR. So isometric viewpoint, like kind of like from the angle, very, I'm going to say like art inspired. Like it almost reminds me of like Renaissance paintings in motion. Is that a good way to describe it?
That's a very good way to say it.
Okay.
I like that. I like that description. Although I will say, if you're going to say Renaissance painting, I wish there was a little more color. It is very brown.
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, okay.
Like you're playing an Xbox 360 game when all those games were all brown.
Yeah, they took the whole era. It takes place in the year 1799, and I'm guessing the game maker just assumed that nobody wore color.
I didn't know the Amish were we're in. No, so tell me about the gameplay because I'm not sure what it is because I see a lot of puzzle things like pushing blocks and climbing ladders, and is there combat? Tell me what this game is because I'm not really getting it from the trailer.
It is a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
One character pushes the blocks around so you can climb things. Another character is more of your attack person.
Mm-hmm.
She carries around boards and smacks people upside the head with them to knock them out, and then you can drag them and hide them in a barrel or in a closet so that they don't get found. She'll also, if you don't have any boards, she'll carry a knife and she can kill people. That hurts her feelings though. She doesn't like to do it.
So you're playing multiple characters, like
Multiple characters, yes.
like does it switch on the fly and you just kind of this character disappears and the new one shows up, or are they on different parts of the map?
You can make them follow you. You can leave them hiding in a certain area so that they don't get in the way. But you can switch on the fly to whoever has the power that works best in each situation. Like I said,
Like
you
a
need
Lost Viking situation.
I'll take your word for it.
Oh, okay. You haven't played. Okay. All right. So tell me about the puzzles.
There's not really puzzles. It's mostly just finding items to move on to the next scene.
Mhm.
So you have an endpoint that you're trying to find, some kind of object or whatever the task is that you've been assigned, and then you have until the end of the day to find that item, so that you can move on to the next task on the next day.
Gotcha. So are you enjoying it? Do you recommend people play it?
Yeah, it is fun. For me, it's unique because you can switch between players. You have one of the characters is very small, so she can get it in between the prison bars. Another character is very strong. He's the one that moves things around. But the neat part about the game is they have weaknesses. So the main character, his name's Father Alfredo. He's a priest. His weakness is he doesn't like to see things that are dead people or people being knocked out. So if your other lady who knocks people out doesn't hide the character, it actually weakens the priest. So he has a hard time being around that scene after she's already done her thing. So you learn, you got to hide them. The lady who likes to beat people up, she's afraid of fire. So you need to find the switch that turns the fire off so that she can make it past a certain area without it affecting her sanity. And that is one of the other meters that you have. Of course, you have your energy meter, but you also have a sanity meter. And if your sanity runs out, you're done for the round. You have to go back to your cell, recuperate. And then, of course, at the end of the day, each character also has a power there. So the lady that likes to beat people up and knife them in the neck to kill them, she also likes to play the violin. And when she plays the violin, everybody's sanity gets restored at the end of the day.
Okay.
So the priest can help everybody's morale. The strong guy, he's a fixer-upper. So if she breaks her violin, he can fix it. Then I don't know what the young girls, the tiny girls in the middle of the night power is. And one other thing that's kind of neat, I'm kind of going everywhere, but it's a really intricately designed game. Once you get to the end of the day, it is wise to go back to your cell to recuperate. You don't have to, though. But what happens at the end of the day is the ghosts come out. And the ghosts impact all the characters except for the priest, who has a power to bless them. And it basically shouts them away, almost like a Harry Potter Patronus with a Dementor. They get shouted back away. You have some time to get around them and make it to a safe spot or something like that. Or if you're really close, you're really close to that object you need to find, that'll buy you some time to get there. And then you can end your day. It just makes it that much harder to play the game. When
The way you're describing it, it's giving me Trine energy. Did you ever play Trine on PC?
I did not.
I didn't play it, but I saw a gameplay of it, and it's a 3 characters, and each one has their own ability and strength, but you can swap them out on the fly, which is always cool. So
then, yep, that sounds exactly like it.
All right, again, that is the Stone of Madness. It looks like that one is $29.99 on any of those platforms that you prefer to play it on. So this sounds interesting. Check it. I recommend you guys to check out the trailer for it. There is a link for that in the show notes. At least give it a look. It has a very unique look to me. I'm not going to say it's like the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse animation, but it's got that close to like on the twos. You know what I mean? Frame rate kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where it's a little, I don't want to say janky, but a little stop motion like.
Right, like it's done intentionally. I'm not saying it's running poorly or anything like that. It's just and for me, something like this, that aesthetic works. You know what I mean? I didn't like it in Spider-Man because that's all I was focusing on when I'm watching a movie. But for this, it seemed interesting. So at least check out the trailer, guys. It looks pretty cool. Okay, well, we're gonna get out of here. Sean, Mark, thank you so much for stopping by. This is a lot of fun to see you guys. We had 4 time zones represented. We had California, Illinois, Michigan, and the Netherlands all on a call at the same time. It's just wild. The internet's crazy.
The internet's amazing, yeah, right?
It is.
All right, guys, we'll catch you next time, okay?
Sure will.
Take care. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much to all three of them for doing those reviews. I do
That was
appreciate
so
it.
cool. I'm so glad we did that.
Last thing I want to mention is please check out our website, thegamingoutsider.com. You can find all of our written content, all of our episodes, and those written contents include my review of Luck Be a Landlord, my review of Monster Meals, and Alyssa's review of Dreadout Remastered Collection, which you just heard about, as well as my review of Blade Chimera, which is now on the website. With that, let's go ahead now and jump into our From the Outside In topic. We talked about Microsoft's Developer Direct earlier, and this seems like a good time to talk about the future of Xbox. There's been so much talk about whether or not Microsoft was going to give up on hardware next generation and focus on publishing only. They've also been quite lacking on exclusive titles, and the ones that they do have seem to be coming to other platforms anyway. So we're going to discuss where we think the gaming giant is going and what we'd like to see from them in the future. So what say you guys? What's the future of Xbox, and what would you like to see from them in the next generation?
Well, I'm going to start things off here by reading Mark Szymanski's writing, if that's okay
Sure.
with you.
Mhm.
So he writes in and says, I don't see how spending $68 billion on Activision would be followed by an action that makes their standing in the gaming market smaller. Definitely a new system, definitely a handheld, and maybe a new version of the Windows Phone. Speaking of Developer Direct, South of Midnight looks so great. First of all, Mark, it does look great. South of Midnight, top notch. I do want to just say that definitely new system, definitely handheld. Why do you believe anything they say anymore? That was my first thought when I read this. I hope that that's all true, but I mean they change their mind as often as the climate changes, pretty routinely. And I do think they're going to do another hardware, whatever the next Series X follow up is. And I'm sure they will do a handheld, or they'll team up with somebody as a handheld, but I don't know that they're committed enough to make it matter. So what I would like to see for them is to go all in on their next hardware, really hammer home how great it is, and do something that actually makes them a threat to PlayStation again, because I don't like the direction PlayStation has been going with with little competition. So what I really want, what I want is for Xbox to rebuild and be bolder, but I don't think that's realistic. I think they're transitioning to a publisher sort of format, and that we saw the words PS5 at their Developer Direct for the first time, and that's pretty crazy. And they've shown off games that are multi-platform before, so they're all in on the multi-platform, which is fine. That's their strategy, but it kind of makes it a hard sell to buy an Xbox unless you're already invested in the ecosystem. So
friends lists and achievement points and
right, or your digital purchases. So if you're on Xbox, I'm happy that they're giving you a path to remain on the console you are invested in and care about. But I don't think their strategy makes anybody buy into the Xbox, which is unfortunate because they're unleashing some games here soon. They're finally putting out games. the dream we've been waiting for like 10 years.
This Direct felt like kind of like a finally moment, like where have the games been? I mean, I know we knew about most of these, right? But and the thing I loved about that Direct is that there was just such a vast diversity of different kinds of games showcased there.
Yes.
We got your hardcore action games, Ninja Gaiden. You've got a turn-based JRPG. You've got a very, culturally sound looking game with magic. And then you've got Doom. You know what I mean? Like all those games couldn't be much more different from each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what do you say that you want them to make bigger swings? Like,
No,
what does that mean? What kind of bigger, bolder swings?
I'm saying swing into the hardware, something that would put PlayStation on their back foot. I don't know what that is. I'm not a hardware game maker, but I want them to invest in it in a big way. But I just don't see how they can. I also just don't see how the strategy would make that possible.
How much of the Switch idea is patented? You know what I mean? Where you've got a handheld that you can drop in and plug into the TV. Like, How much of that is?
I mean, knowing Nintendo, probably all of it.
In that sense, it's probably all patented.
I mean, we got like a Steam Dock, right? You got a
Right.
Steam Deck dock, so
Yeah.
there's something like that. And all of these other. I mean, didn't the Tokyo Game Show or something just happen? Was it Tokyo or was it the GDC or something?
Well, there was GDC, and then there was another one.
But they had all of those like you know,
CES.
CES. Thank you. Can't get my acronym straight. But, it's becoming the thing where it's a way that you can play a game here, but also take it portably. Like, could that be the step that they could go? Because man, if I could take my Xbox games on the go, or maybe play my Xbox games on my Switch too.
Right. Well, that would be nice.
Yeah, that would
Get a little Game Pass on the Switch too. It sounds nice.
Yeah. I mean, there. I can't remember which company that made it, but I did watch some of the stuff from CES, and there's a new folding rollable screen that's coming out.
Oh yeah,
and it is huge. So I was like, the fact that you could like literally just roll up a computer screen and like stick it in a backpack.
Was it like I want to say 11 or 12 inches or something like that? Like
It was bigger than that.
Was it?
what she said.
It's 16 inches horizontally, but it actually has the ability to extend out to 22 inches tall.
Oh, this isn't a handheld thing. This is a like. For
No,
a laptop.
it can be.
I would
it's
not want to play
literally
a handheld with a 16-inch screen.
It's kind of 16 inches
it's
by 2 hands, really.
but it's
Yeah, you
it's
kinda
literally a
have to-
rollable screen.
Get a nice grip on that thing.
I just love the idea of like playing a game and looking like I'm reading a scroll. Like this
No.
is me playing my game now.
Oh man, imagine Ikaruga on that thing.
Oh. But I like the fact that there's a screen that can transform like that from like a horizontal style game to a vertical style game.
Oh yeah. Jake, what do you think? What's next for Xbox, and what would you like to see? What would get you to come over to this side?
As much as I would love to watch Xbox bow out and just relinquish the throne to
Why?
PlayStation hear me out, God. I said as much as I would like to, like PlayStation needs to win. Just saying. Anyway, Xbox cannot go. They can't. I really hope that they do another hardware. It is the conflict that between the two of them, the console wars that drives them both forward to
Mhm.
make better systems, better games, all that kind of stuff. And if they bow out, yeah, PlayStation's gonna get comfortable and they're not gonna produce the systems or games that they should be. And so I want them to stay. I want them to stick around. And a few years back I had heard that they were going to go towards a more modular system, and so you would have a base, and then if you wanted to do upgrades, you would just unplug something in the system and then plug in the new one, and then you were upgraded.
So
It
a
would
gaming
make
PC.
Yeah, it would make it basically a gaming PC, which I mean, it's Microsoft. They're already a computer company, but
Mhm.
having something going, okay, here's the Xbox graphics card. Okay, here's the Xbox graphic card 2, and then you go out and buy that singular module and plug it in, and you don't need to play with any of the other stuff until you want to, would make it more accessible and different than the PlayStation, because the PlayStation only has the hard drive right now.
Mhm.
So and that's kind of where the world is going to. The closer we get, the better the games look, the bigger the games are, the harder they are to play. And unless you make a ridiculous system, I mean, what, the PS5 needs a foot of space to stay cool? Like these, they're going to get harder to make. They're going to get harder to stylize, and a computer just seems the way to go. And so if Microsoft just goes, okay, we're not making consoles anymore, but we're going to make an actual computer with the Xbox, insignia on it, that might be a more smarter approach than trying to stick with the all-in-one console.
All right, interesting. CB, what do you think?
I hate to say this, but I kind of agree with Jake.
You hate because you hate to agree with Jake, or you just hate what he said?
Both. No,
I love you, buddy.
I actually do feel that Microsoft is making the shift towards, like, I feel Microsoft is going to go one of two ways. Either they're going to stray more away from hardware and become more of a publisher and just a streaming side,
Mm-hmm.
like the Xbox Sequence 4 or whatever they're going to name it.
Sequence 4.
Because they always seem to. It's the first thing that popped into my head.
The
I mean-
Xbox 1080Y sequence.
It's
11.
not. It is no worse a name than Series X.
Right.
We have the Xbox 360, the Xbox One, Xbox One X, the Xbox Series S and X.
Yeah.
So
Right
I don't
now.
know. Sequence seems like the right thing because we're going through a sequence, I guess.
Respect to PlayStation for sticking with numbers. Just saying.
Yeah.
They should call the next one Xbox 7. Skip over
Just-
PlayStation.
Just for the hell of it.
The 6 was so bad we forgot about it, left it in the dust, and just went straight to the 7.
Goat Simulator can just jump to Goat Simulator 3, right? Why
Right,
can't-
yeah.
Why can't the
Like,
Xbox just go to 7?
But I feel that either what they're going to do is they're going to move more towards a streaming streaming publisher, and what it's essentially going to be is just a hard drive that you like plug into your TV, your computer, whatever you're going to use, because it's going to be more like a spot to essentially front load the bunch of the data for the game, so they can make a bigger utilize streaming more. Like so much of the game is downloaded to this hard drive and then it streams.
Mhm.
Like
Jay,
Like a
I'm
plug
saying
and play Stadia?
kind of.
Oh,
But this is what I'm saying. Like I see them going one of two directions. It's either that, or they're going to go more towards the like full on like we're building a literal PC. Because when you look at the Series X, it looks vaguely similar to a lot of like micro PCs. And if you actually open up the Series X, it looks like it initially had like a modular form designed for it, where like sections of this come out and you can just drop other sections in.
So yeah, you are agreeing with Jake.
It feels like the Series X was originally like a test platform where they were like, we're going to build this box, and like this is the internal firmware that we can just upgrade as we're developing. So I'm willing to bet there are like what they're already developing, they're probably just pulling sections of that out and upgrading sections to see how much they can fit into this at maximum power. Going back to like Microsoft versus Sony, remember when the Series X and the PS5 were announced, the only difference was teraflops. Like beyond that, like they're identical for computing power pretty much. It was just like this one, like we have like X number of teraflops more for computing power. That was literally the only difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they are essentially the same thing, just in a different wrapper. So, and I feel that as just a straight console, because when you break these things down, they are literally just a PC that has certain functions locked out.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at like, okay, like this is what we can fit inside of this with just these functions, it feels like they've really got to that point where like they're going to start hitting a wall where one's not going to be way better than the other unless they make that full dive into being just a straight up PC.
Interesting. I'm with you both. I in terms of the streaming aspect, or maybe that was just CB. I think that Microsoft is it seems clear they're going the publisher route. I don't even think they're going to do another hardware. I think it's going to be a situation that CB is talking about, because if you've listened to Microsoft, their marketing strategy, or at least things they've been saying, is everything is an Xbox. Everything is an Xbox. Your TV is an Xbox. Your Switch is an Xbox. You know what I mean? And the idea that you can play your Xbox games anywhere, I feel like is the next move. The thing that I want is I want an easy way to be able to take my games with me. I know I've got a phone that I can get Xbox Game Pass on, and I can hook it up to a what was that device called that I can't remember.
The Backbone.
Backbone. I want a separate device. I want a device that I can take with me, that I can play games portably, that I don't got to mess with anything. I can just fire it up like I can my Switch or my Steam Deck. And apparently, I'm whining because I could probably do that with my Steam Deck. There's a way to get Xbox Game Pass on your Steam Deck. I just haven't.
You can do it with your MetaQuest too.
My MetaQuest 1, you mean?
Yeah, you can play Xbox on there now.
He said 2 as also, not T.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't really want to play Xbox games in VR.
I mean, it just functions like a TV screen, like it does like when you watch Netflix.
Yeah.
I mean, but it does make sense, like the way they're marketing, though. It really does feel like they are trying to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, like when you look at Nintendo, like Nintendo has a bunch of stuff that they publish and they do, and they make handheld, but they just make handhelds really now.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, yes, you can dock it to your TV, but don't lie to me. That's a handheld. That's a handheld with an output.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
I'm not saying it's not.
It works pretty slick, man.
But when you boil it down, that is a handheld. Yeah. It is not a full-on console. Like when I think of a console, it's something that like I have to plug into a TV to utilize this. Whereas the Switch, I don't need. You do not need the TV to play it. So it is just a handheld that has TV accessibility.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and Nintendo was trying to do that years ago by having a cord to connect to the GameCube off of your Game Boy Advance. They had a whole system that would plug into the bottom of the GameCube as well, that you could put in your Game Boy Advance games in there and then play it on controller. So they have been trying to almost make this move from a console-based system to an upgraded handheld. Like you even saw it with the you had the Wii, but then the Wii 2 came out, or the Wii U came out, and that was almost the exact same thing because it had its own screen, like just a handheld that includes a TV.
And you sit here and say it right now, Scott. Like you're like, I wish I had an easy way to take my Xbox games on the go, and I'm like, you do. It's right here. Like
yeah, but then I got to hook it up to a backbone, or I got to hook it up to some controller, or I got to take my case off of my phone. And
I get it. I get what you mean, Scott.
I get what you're saying, but I don't have to take my case off the phone. Like I have a thing that I can literally I have a controller that I leave the clip on and literally just drop my phone on there. I'm good to go.
There is something psychological about having a dedicated device, because I have remote play for PlayStation working on my Steam Deck, and it even works for my job. But I just feel like I want a handheld PlayStation for some reason. So I hear what Scott's saying with the Xbox.
Plus, I'm basically putting my phone out of commission while I'm playing games.
Yeah,
because if it's hooked up to
that's a
put
gift.
Your phone down.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You start getting a phone call.
Ignore.
It just automatically just pauses your game.
I mean, somebody's got to post stuff to the Go group. I'm just saying.
But at the same time, I don't want to play on a 5-inch screen. I don't want to play games on my phone. What's the point of having these games that are going to come out
Switch?
Well, I know I don't play on the Switch on the go. I play on a TV, but I'm not talking about that. Like on the PlayStation, Xbox, you have these games coming out in 4K. Well, you're not going to get 4K out of your phone.
Well, I mean, if you're away from your 4K TV, it's a better alternative.
Right, it's just about picking the right games,
Oh, yeah. I mean,
if you're grinding for levels in Claire Obscure Expedition 33, I think it would be fine to do on your phone.
that was a good plug.
Yeah.
But I like what Microsoft is trying to do. I just don't think as a gaming community we're ready to go that route yet. Like, but at the same time, like I like my physical games, and I'm being forced into a digital world that I don't want. So at some point in time, like one of the companies has to make the push, and Microsoft is like, well, damn the torpedoes, let's go.
I too prefer physical games because A Life of Plastic, it's fantastic.
Was that an Aqua reference?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's what we thought about the topic. Let's see what the rest of the community said. I'm going to start over on Discord. with Drew Ross, who says, from what I've seen, they plan on releasing a new next-gen console soon. They're making a handheld. They seem to not care about exclusives anymore. I don't know. Have went all in on Game Pass, plus pushing their games out to reach as many gamers as they can on any device as they can. Looks like they're trying to change the industry. I'm sure. So I don't change the industry. The Game Pass is trying to change the industry with Game Pass. Is that what he's saying?
Yeah.
Well, Game Pass plus the everything is an Xbox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because if Game Pass does get everywhere and gets big and is kind of the Netflix for video games, like they've been planning to for years, that could change the industry. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Looks like they're trying to change the industry. I'm sure Sony will follow this playbook if it pays off for them. Sony is already pushing out more of their games to PC, and Nintendo will be the only true exclusive console left on the market. As long as I can still play my Series X, my huge digital backlog, and Game Pass, I'm a happy gamer. FYI, I also own a Switch, so I get the best of both worlds.
Isn't it sad that when when all the dust settles, it's still just going to be Nintendo standing there?
Yeah.
Like if Microsoft's like, you know what, we don't care about exclusives anymore, and then Sony's like, you know what, we'll push our stuff onto other platforms, and Nintendo's just going to be like, and you can play everything on the Switch 9.
And by the way, if you want to our players to play your game on our console, we get a cut of that, so they'll just continue to make more money.
If Alyssa was right and they named it the Switch, the Switch 9 would be like the Switch.
You just have
each
an
digital
eye.
W-I-I-I.
Oh my god.
Paul Hine did say it will be a shame to have Microsoft leave the hardware market, but it certainly seems that way. Here's the thing, though. They're never actually going to truly leave the hardware market. They make PCs.
Right.
And now PlayStation has games on PC.
Well, that's certainly not the same thing.
But my PC is also an Xbox.
No, yeah, you're certainly getting most things. I'm fascinated with the PlayStation on PC thing because those games don't sell well anymore. Like the first batch did, but it seems like nobody cares anymore, and I think that's fascinating.
I'm actually kind of wondering because I really need to buy one of these like PlayStation games on PC to see if I can get Microsoft achievement points for them.
I doubt it.
I doubt it too, but I mean, it's also an Xbox.
Everything's an Xbox.
We got one more comment. Jake, you want to take that one?
Everything's an Xbox.
Your mom's an Xbox, CB.
God, oh no,
Got him.
No, it just hit me. Do you
Got
remember
him.
the Skyrim extra special edition where you could like play Skyrim on your fridge?
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah,
that is what Microsoft is turning into. Microsoft is forming into Skyrim extra special edition. Like,
yeah, I'm looking forward to playing South of Midnight in my air fryer.
All right, Matt Sattler says, I think the direction has been the same for a while. Let people play games where they want to play games and how they want to. They are taking a platform approach. I don't think they'll care about hardware nearly as much as they have before. I fail to see how Microsoft is doing anything that's actually not very much competing in the industry. Short of raising the price of Game Pass, I don't know if they're really going to have much for problems with consumers.
I can't imagine Game Pass won't go up, though.
it will.
It will. Game Pass will have to go up because if they're not going to do a console, you're going to have to start, I'm going to plug into this, I'm going to plug into that, and I'll plug in here, and I'm going to plug in there. And, maybe they'll just start siphoning the money from other companies and cut you a deal.
Well, don't they usually like kind of wash on hardware? Like they don't make a ton of money on hardware, right?
Usually the first half of a generation is a wash on hardware.
But that hasn't been true for this generation.
It hasn't. Okay.
Yeah.
Which way? Like they are making money on.
They
them?
are making money.
Oh, they're absolutely making money. Hand over fist.
Interesting.
But again, that's because I said like they're starting to reach that technical standpoint where like to put something inside a case this big, like you reach that limitation. Like that's one of the reasons why the Switch, like they're like, we have to make it a little bigger and a little thicker to put more power into it. So, and like Paul just like, do you ever think Game Pass will fold under its own weight? Actually, no, because honestly, if you shut down your entire hardware development area, that's billions of dollars that you don't need to funnel into something, you'd be like, okay, we can just maintain Game Pass price at this for a while.
And then they can acquire EA and Ubisoft.
Well, dude, if they just wait a few more months, you probably get Ubisoft for like $10,
right?
Probably. And honestly, I could see Microsoft saying like, "Oh, if you want Game Pass on PlayStation, we're going to charge you an extra $5." You're giving the exclusivity rights over to another console. Like, there's got to be some give and take.
I've always just assumed that if Game Pass comes on PlayStation, it'll be a situation where it's PlayStation is like, yeah, you can put Game Pass on here, but it can only be things that you own.
Oh, like you can only be first party.
Right.
Gotcha.
Because they don't want to lose that 30% of every potential sale.
If Game Pass came onto PlayStation, it's like, congrats, you never have to buy the show again.
I was to say, oh, I hadn't considered. I feel like PlayStation would never want Game Pass on their console because they would lose that 30% of every Call of Duty sale.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That alone.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, like it benefits again Nintendo more than anybody.
Yeah,
like,
no, I think
sure.
Hey, look, man, I fully believe Game Pass will be on Switch too.
At some point in time, I wholly agree with
end of year is my guess.
I would Q2 next year.
We'll see.
Slap bet.
Sure.
Dude, Banjo 3, a Switch 2 Game Pass exclusive.
Oh, just all those rare games that they could bring back and just be like, put them back on Nintendo.
Right. I mean, they could be their marketing push, like, we're coming home.
Oh, geez. No.
It'll work.
Well, of course it'll work.
Well, that's our thoughts on Xbox, and it's going to be a really interesting year to see what's going to happen. But that's going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. Thanks so much for listening. As usual, this episode was produced by Kevin Honigford. All of the music that you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. His website is stemagemusic.com, STEMAGE music.com. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Zach, any parting words or recommendations for our listeners?
Yes, this past week I saw Anora, which is up for Best Picture at the Oscars. And this movie is incredible.
What is it?
Anora.
No, I mean, what's it about?
Oh, so it's about a stripper sex worker who she kind of
you have my interest. What?
She does an exclusive contract with this young Russian fella, and then they end up getting married so he can get a green card. And that's kind of the setup, and then things kind of get off the rails from there. Once his powerfully rich family learns about him marrying a hooker. But it's just an incredible movie. It is just deeply human, very, very emotional, but also funny as hell.
Yeah.
I was laughing throughout so much of this movie, which is, it was great. I loved it from the beginning to the end. Thought it was great. And highest of recommendations. I could see why it was nominated.
Very cool. Jacob, how about you?
I recommend getting a hobby that's other than video games. I do not have another hobby, and so I only talk about video games.
Racquetball.
Oh, yeah, but that's not fun. Oh, okay. This week in racquetball, I hit a ball back and forth.
Ooh.
That one time I hit it against the
blue?
glass. The ball was blue.
Oh.
My racket is black and yellow. And
not a fan of those blue balls.
You should tell everybody about that time you almost won.
Yeah, I was up by 7 points today, and then Scott came back and beat me because I just choked.
Oh, so you're not playing alone.
No, I'm playing with Scott, and I choked.
You do want not
on Scott, but
so Scott made you choke, and you had a blue balls. All right.
Yep.
Sounds like a fun week.
It was a fun couple of days.
Yeah, all right.
And you, CB?
I actually found an old movie that I had never watched. I like found footage films. I found a movie called Searching.
It's called The Blair Witch.
Oh, is that with Harold?
Yeah, John Cho.
Harold. That's his Christian name, Harold.
With John Cho. it was surprisingly like it's good. I mean, the premise is a dad's like his daughter goes missing, and he's
It's one of those where
searching
you're
through
looking at the
like everything is
computer screen.
through a computer screen.
Yeah.
But it was pretty good. I didn't see the twist coming until like near the very end. I'm like, oh, okay, that's different.
I'm
So
intrigued.
it's
I remember seeing trailers for this movie. I thought it looked pretty good, but I was kind of worried it was just going to be a gimmick.
I mean, it's definitely like you're gonna watch it one time and that's gonna be it.
Yeah. It's not the first time they've done that too. There was a horror one where
Unfriended and then Unfriended Dark Web.
Yeah.
This one I feel stands a little better and does a better job of it.
Also, it's John Cho.
Yeah. Very, very believable performance from him.
Spike Spiegel himself, huh?
Yeah. Well, it's like for somebody who again like really started his career with the Harold and Kumar movies. I'm like, okay, yeah, like this is a good job, man.
Nice.
I recommend it. I watched it on Fandango, or like what used to be Vudu. It was only like $5.
I actually was watching a movie on Vudu and I saw that you had purchased that, and I was like, I haven't check that out.
I put Craven the Hunter on there too.
I did see that. I haven't watched that yet.
It is not great.
Yeah. You guys share a Vudu account?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, Fandango.
It's cute. Don't call it that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's always going to be. It's always gonna be Vudu to me, because like whenever I make a purchase on there, it says you have purchased something from Vudu, and I'm like, but yeah, I mean, we have that. We have the Plex account, which I haven't given you access to the new one yet, which has got all my good horror stuff on it.
All right, good or
there's some
Same
really, really
thing.
good. There's some really, really bad, and then there's some kind of like in the middle stuff.
I still haven't seen Alien Romulus. I need to remember that.
I should slap you stupid.
Well, I've been waiting to watch it with a buddy of mine that really likes the Alien movies as well, and that hasn't seen it. We've been kind of waiting so we can watch it together.
I've got a buddy who likes it. Yeah, I know.
You saw it in the theater.
I saw it 3 times in the theater.
I have a recommendation, but it's kind of a piggyback off of what I talked about last week. As you guys remember, I have gotten into gourmet coffee. And if you remember, I talked about I was getting a new grinder, and I got to use that for the first time this week. Holy cow, that makes a difference, guys. I know that I'm people that know coffee are like, well, duh. But getting a quality grinder has made all the difference in the world. And I have become one of those guys. I'm just absolutely loving the weekends when I get to make a good cup of coffee.
It's a little upsetting you haven't been sending me pictures, but that's fine.
I did send you a picture.
You sent me a picture, right? It doesn't matter. We'll talk off air. Okay.
Enjoy your dirt juice.
Right.
Oh, it's so good.
You'll
be
my
happy,
coffee.
CB. I bought the fire department coffee.
Yeah.
It's got like Cthulhu on the front of it. That's part of the reason I bought it, because I thought it looked cool and it's local. And
proceeds go to the fire department or something.
I think they do some proceeds to retired firefighters. I think.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, which is pretty cool, and it's good beans too.
Well,
so
we'll have to send you a bag.
Scott, you sent me a picture of the grinder, but not the coffee you made. That's what I'm.
I thought I did.
He wants to check your pour. Like, are you doing a good job?
I'm gonna critique you.
I'm still learning, dude. I can't do the art or whatever that you're talking about.
Well,
but
there's no reason to do that.
I know. There is this morning I made one.
Or what is this?
I usually don't make gourmet coffee in the morning because it's a lot of work to make a cup of coffee with the espresso machine, doing all that and then cleaning it up and all that. But
yeah, sure.
I made one with more steamed milk, like more like a latte instead of a cortado.
Okay, yeah.
And dude, it tasted better than Starbucks. I mean, I'm not to toot my own horn, but like I'm looking forward to diving in and just experimenting and trying different things. And I think you taught me last week that like the darker roasts actually have less caffeine,
correct,
but more flavor, and then the lighter roasts have less flavor but more caffeine. So like I can have some in the morning and some in the evening. I'm stoked, dude.
So we're a lot of middle-aged men getting into smoking meats. Scott's getting into making coffee.
Yeah.
He's got like $300 worth of equipment in the corner of his kitchen, and then wakes up in the morning and still goes to like his $20 coffee maker.
Every
makes
time
a
somebody
pot of
comes into town,
coffee.
Scott's just like, "Hey, can I make you a cup of coffee? Let me tell you about my coffee. It's
Yeah.
great
Oh,
coffee."
dude.
Can't wait.
Dude, we got Tundra Pong on
Coffee,
Saturday at my
coffee,
house.
coffee.
I imagine I'm going to be making some espressos for people.
Oh yeah, the Tundra Pong. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
It's
what it
okay,
is.
we-
It's kind of catty.
screw
Yeah.
you.
There's
Very
there's two
dismissive-
people
very
you
dismissive
don't
of
need to
your-
make coffee for.
Very
There you go.
dismissive of your Tundra Pong.
They're
Okay,
both
cool.
going to Tundra Pong.
Reigning champ, son.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, going to Tundra Pong.
I'll take your coffee.
For those that don't know what I'm talking about, we have an annual beer pong tournament in my garage in the middle of winter, and we call it Tundra Pong. And it's a big deal. It's like our 12th or 13th year doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You guys
know-
get drunk as hell.
No, actually, we don't play with beer. We don't.
Well, we play with beer, but not.
I play with
directly.
tequila.
No, no,
there's no.
There's
It's not
one
a,
real man there. I
Right.
see.
Though I do vaguely remember who knocked Scott out of the playoffs last
yeah,
year.
yeah. Even though your partner was crap last year, he did not
Hey.
deserve that. But
Hey,
no,
you
it's
know
a lot
what?
of fun. We don't.
You got smashed by me.
Yeah. And he's got the we got a traveling trophy that goes home with the team, and then they bring it back, and we have a engraving on it so that every year we add that year's winner. It's a lot of fun, man. We have a big TV with a bracket on the screen in the back of the garage. We order
Any
pizza for
crappy
everybody.
pizza.
It's a good time. I look forward to it every year.
We try to be interesting. We're just a bunch of old men.
Scott plays 90s boy band music.
Yeah, dude.
Bye,
course.
bye.
That Barbie girl. in
All
the
right,
Yeah,
well-
there you go.
Shout out to my co-host Chris Behrensmeyer, Jacob Gunderson, and Zach Parkerson. Thanks so much. I'm Scott. We are the Gaming Outsider, and remember, there's no such thing as a bad game. Just games that are not for you.
Shout out to Aaron Hughes.